Welcome to Davao Region Connect. In support of the comprehensive region-led learning continuity plan, I Teach, integrating technology, academic community, and the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad, this is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.
Sikoy ko kamighimo tolangit. Sikoy ko kamighimo to aldoy bulan. Ikaw ang nagbuhat sa kabituunan. Ikaw ang nagbuhat sa kalibutan. Manama, mabantog ka. Warag po ko iling ko. Oh Diyos, kahit tulungan ka. Sa ikaw lang ang simbahan ko.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم آمين يا رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم اجمع شامل المسلمين والكريستيان والأمة في مدينة أباو وسلم دائما مجتمعنا هذا بالسنة والأمن والتقدم في بلدنا هذا آمين يا رب العالمين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today to praise and worship you and give thanks for all the things you continue to provide for ourselves and our family.
Sa ilan na?
Father,
Sa ilan?
we humbly ask for forgiveness for all the times we have offended you. We may forget to acknowledge your presence in the image of our brothers and sisters, and for moments we fail to be good stewards of the blessing you have given us. Continue to guide and protect each one of us, Lord, that we may always walk in the light of your everlasting love and mercy. Grant us, Father, with your comfort in times of distress and with your strength in times of weakness. Bestow upon us your unending grace and healing, that may in turn become instruments of gentleness and compassion to others. We ask all this in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, with the prayer and the intercession of our Blessed Mother. Amen.
Manama, mabantog ka. Warpo ko iling koy ko. O Diyos, kahibulungan ka. Busa ikaw lang ang simbahon ko. Busa ikaw lang ang alagaran ko.
Davao Region, Pinanggang Yuta, may mukihapong halaging taas. Haring agilan na sudmong langgang, waling-waling hanas sa kaulakan. May ulawan, haring durian, lubiong saging, bugas na milian, yutang gimahan sa Davao Elyo, matugihong mga tao. Ang milangko, mga probinsya, mga dakbayan nagkahiusa, may gituuhan nga Diyos. Davao de Oro, Davao Oriental, del Norte Occidental, del Sur, siyudad sa Davao, Panabutagong, Samal Island, Mati ug Dios. Davao Region, di panalipdan, mga bahandi kinaiyahan, yutang tabunok, daghanang lindot, makapanginabuhian. Garbo sa tanan ng Davao Region, among yutang agipanggan.
Good morning, Davao Region, and welcome to the 3-day regional training on performance-based assessment. At this point, I would like to acknowledge our regional training and management team, headed by our regional director, Dr. Alan G. Farnazo, CESO 4, our assistant regional director, Dr. Maria Ines C. Asuncion, CESO 4, our Curriculum and Learning Management Division Chief, Dr. Mary Jean B. Aliger, our Schools Division Superintendents and Assistant Schools Division Superintendents, our Education Program Supervisors in the region and division, our speakers and facilitators, our broadcasting team, the ICT unit, and everybody attending and watching this webinar. Maayong buntag sa atong tanan. Before we will start, we would like to request to our audience and our participants to please turn off their microphones. And to formally start with our virtual training, we shall hear the opening remarks to be given to us by Dr. Mary Jean B. Aldiger, the Chief of the Curriculum and Learning Management Division, DepEd Region 11.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Hello, good morning, everyone. My courtesy to our Regional Director, Dr. Alan G. Farnazo, our Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Maria Ines Asuncion, our 11 SDSS, our 12 Assistant Schools Division Superintendents, the 11 Chiefs of the CID, the Education Program Supervisors, our PSDSS, and at the same time, those teachers who are listening to our webinar today. This morning, we are very glad here in CLMD to be sharing with you, and CID, of course, to be sharing with you the performance-based assessment, which already a question to those teachers as to how will we assess our children in this new normal. And I'm very blessed and glad that my friend, Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, who was once with me in the training during the Basic Education Assistance for Mindanao. We were trained in Australian Council for Educational Research together with of course, our speaker, ASDS Dr. Melanie Estacio, who was trained in English assessment, just like what we had in our RAMSE. And then we also have Dr. Alma Sifra, who was trained in math assessment, and me in reading assessment. So with that, I'm very glad that Dr. Melanie Estacio approved to my request that she will be training us, or yes, training us on performance-based assessment. And then we can imagine this new normal. Teachers are asking, how could we assess our children? Assessment means assessing our learners' performance does not only start and ends with paper pencil test. We know that one. Just like assessing the comprehension reading, it does not only stop by asking the WH question, because we can still connect their reading to writing. So meaning we can still assess our children. So that's why we come up in this kind of activity today, that we are going to have a training on performance-based assessment to clear our idea on what kind of assessment we are going to conduct in this new normal. And even if it's not in the new normal, DepEd is already pushing this kind of assessment so that we can holistically assess our children's performance. So this training aims to revisit the guidelines on the performance-based assessment and grading system to ensure that schools are provided with quality technical assistance on assessment and grading practices for the development of the learners and respond to various contexts in this time. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I am welcoming you all and enjoy this 3-day training. Never leave your eyesight, never leave your hearing to the information that we will be receiving from our speakers for this activity. With that, God bless everyone and welcome to our performance-based assessment. Madayaw Davao.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mary Jean B. Aldiger, the Chief for Curriculum and Learning Management Division, DepEd Region 11. Thank you very much, Ma'am Jean. God bless.
Likewise.
For us to know who are joining this regional training, please welcome Dr. Maria Liza E. Berandoy, Curriculum and Learning Management Division, Education Program Supervisor, DepEd Region 11.
My courtesy to our DepEd Regional Director, Dr. Alan G. Parnazo, our Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Maria Ines C. Asuncion, our Chief in Curriculum and Learning Management Division, Dr. Mary Jean B. Aldiger, and to my fellow supervisors, facilitators, and viewers of this 3-day webinar on performance-based assessment. A delightful morning to everyone. May I acknowledge our top management of this training. We have our Regional Director, Dr. Alan D. Parnazo.
Good morning, everyone. Magandang
Our
umaga sa inyo
Assistant
lahat.
Regional Director, Dr. Maria Ines C. Asuncion. Our Curriculum and Learning Management Division Chief, Dr. Mary Jean B. Aldiger. Our Quality
Good morning.
Assurance Division Chief, Mr. Genilito is Atelio, in charge of the Katami, Quality Assurance, Technical Assistance, Monitoring and Evaluation. The proactive participants of this training are the Curriculum and Learning Management Division supervisors and the technical support staff from the Regional Office 11. Our Curriculum Implementation Division CID Chief, together with our Education Program supervisors from the 11 schools division offices. They will be called by question in alphabetical order. Let's start with the first class, highly urbanized city in the island of Mindanao, Philippines, where our president resides, with its tagline, "Light is here," and the fruit basket of the region. The Davao City Division, whether SDS Dr. Rinaldo M. Villena, ESDS Dr. Jinky B. Furman, ESDS Dr. Marilyn B. Didoyo, and the CID Chief Dr. Alma C. Cipra, together with the CID Education Program supervisors. The next division is a province in the Philippines, located in the Davao region in Mindanao. Its capital is Nabunturan. It used to be a part of the province of Davao del Norte until it was made a separate province in 1998 with their tagline, "Living with Treasure, the land of mines and gold bars." The Davao de Oro Division, whether SDS Dr. Euphemia T. Gamoten, ESDS Dr. Romel R. and OIC CID Chief Dr. Arlene B. Lim, together with the CID Education Program supervisors. The next division is the Beach Paradise of the North, Davao del Norte Division, whether SDS Dr. D. D. Selva, ESDS Dr. Rebecca C. Sagot, and CID Chief Dr. Eduardo C. Amogues, together with the CID Education Program supervisors. The land is composed of sandy beaches and outlying islands, agricultural plains and valleys, rainforests, swamps, rolling hills and mountains, including the Philippines' highest peak, Mount Apo. The land of heights and flights, Division of Davao del Sur, with SDS Dr. Nelson C. Lopez, ESDS Dr. Janet G. Veloso, and CID Chief Dr. Cherilyn A. Cometa, together with the CID Education Program supervisors. The newest province in the Philippines, located in Davao Region in Mindanao. Its capital is the municipality of Malita. To the east lies the Davao Gulf. It also shares a water border with the Indonesian province of North Sulawesi to the south. The division of Davao Occidental with SDS Dr. Lorenzo E. Mendoza, ESDS Dr. Antonio P. de los Reyes, and CID Chief Mr. Felix I. Anticresto, together with the CID Education Program supervisors. The island's ethnic charmer of the Philippines, Division of Davao Oriental, with SDS Dr. Rinaldo B. Melioreda, ESDS Dr. Maria Genevieve P. Francis Kepe, and CID Chief Dr. Esther Jean U. Pilayo, together with the CID Education Program supervisors. The city lies on the western shores of Davao Gulf and southern foothills of Mount Apo on the island of Mindanao, centrally located between the two major cities in Mindanao, Davao City and General Santos City, with their tagline, "Basta Digos, Ayos," Digos City Division, with SDS Dr. Christy C. Epe, ESDS Dr. Basilio P. Manaay Jr., and CID Chief Dr. Beverly S. Daog-Daog with the CID Education Program Supervisors. One of the best white sand beaches of the Philippines and rich of marine resource biodiversity with its tagline, "Where life is fun," the Island Garden City of Samar Division with SDS Winnie E. Batoon, ESDS Dr. Emma A. Camporedondo, and CID Chief Dr. Chona M. Calatrava, together with the CID Education Program Supervisors. The surfing capital of the South, Division of Mati City, with SDS Dr. Alona C. Oy, ESDS Dr. Josie T. Bolofer, and CID Chief Dr. Maria Jenna F. Flores, together with the CID Education Program Supervisors. The home of the world's biggest banana plantation, known as Banana Capital of the Philippines, due to numerous banana plantations scattered throughout the city. Panabo City Division with SDS Dr. Rinaldo A. ESDS CPA PBG L. Refamonte, and CID Chief Dr. Januario E. Yamota, together with the CID Education Program Supervisors. And the last but not the least is one of the topmost livable cities in the Philippines and was one of the finalists in most child-friendly city in the country. The Palm City of the Philippines, no other than Tagum City Division, where the tagline is Tagum Tagumpay. Blessings are here with SDS Dr. L. Padol, ESDS Dr. Melanie P. Stasio, and CID Chief Dr. Christine C. Bagakay, together with the CID Education Program Supervisors. And other interested viewers, our PSDSS, our coordinators, and our teachers. Our training workshop will be facilitated by the team of Dr. Melanie P. Stasio, the Assistant Schools Division Superintendent of Tagum City Division, and who was trained on assessment in Australia. Thank you, and God bless us all. Mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you very much. That was Dr. Maria Liza E. Berandoy, the Curriculum and Learning Management Division, Education Program Supervisor for DepEd Region 11. So we know that there are about 200 identified participants and more than 2,000 guest visitors watching this training. Yet there is no problem with the venue because in a virtual arena, there is enough space for everyone. And now we shall hear an inspirational message from Dr. Maria Ines C. Asuncion, CESO 4, DepEd Region 11, Assistant Regional Director.
My courtesy to our Regional Director, Dr. Alan Farnaso, to our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Melanie Estacio, our speaker for this activity, who has been trained in student assessment, to Chief Jean Aldiger of the CLMD with the regional supervisors, to all the CID chiefs and education program supervisors of the Schools Division offices, to all the technical working group, a pleasant day to all. With the implementation of our flagship program, or Sulong Edukalidad, in response to the call for innovation for the drastic change, we should start teaching innovation in the basic education. In our quest for knowledge, we need to think of how relevant our teaching and learning processes. We can never talk of quality learning outcomes without assessment. For this, we need to carefully understand of what assessment really is and how is it done. As what we learned, assessment is a process of gathering data to better understand the strengths and weaknesses of student learning. What is it that our students learn? Assessment is not to judge our students. Assessment should be a lens for understanding student learning, identifying barriers, and to help us improve our teaching approaches. Wherefore, assessment is a two-way mirror. It enables us to look at our students and ourselves. I'm sure our invited speaker will upskill and reskill our educators on this matter. May this training inspire all the participants and would enable them to open a new lens of assessment in this new normal. In this way, we would be able to provide technical assistance to our teachers, school heads, and even to our parents relative to assessment in the teaching and learning processes. Thank you so much, RD Alan, for being supportive of this endeavor. To our speaker, thank you for sharing your time and expertise. To Chief Jin and CLMD team, great job on conceptualizing this training. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. That was our Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Maria Inesi Asuncion. And thank you very much, Ma'am, for emphasizing to us the importance of understanding assessment as a two-way mirror of understanding our student and a reflection of our teaching and learning processes in the classroom. Thank you very much. God bless you, ma'am. And now let us hear some words of challenge from Dr. Alan G. Farnazo, CESO 4, DepEd Region 11 Director. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Madayaw nga adlaw Davao. I'd like to extend first my greetings to our esteemed Assistant Regional Director, Maria Ines Asuncion, all our superintendents, assistant superintendents, facilitators of this training, of course, led by our Assistant Superintendent, Melanie Estacio, and the members of the training team. And in the case of the regional office, led by our Chief, Mary Jean Aldiguer, and all the supervisors. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, madayong adlaw Davao. I'd like to say that this is my first public appearance as I took over as the regional director of this region. This taking over of the leadership reign is both personal, emotional, and a professional one to me. Emotional because this has been the region where I have grown up and I've spent a lot of the healthy years of my life. In fact, our separation 18 years ago was a separation that was rashly done as a new region was created in Mindanao then. I was not able, in fact, to turn over the reins of my being president of the Regional School Paper Advisors Association of Region 11 then. And because I was not able to turn over the reign of my presidency then as the president of Region 11 School Paper Advisors Association, I would like to believe I'm still the president until now. Nakakatawa. Well, at the time, alam nila Ma'am Melanie, nila Ma'am Aldiguer, kasamahan ko, ang karamihan ay nagretira na. At the time, we were fighting side by side to win honor for Region 11. And I miss the fight with you. But now the difference is we will be fighting together. Not anymore as competitor region, but as one region. This is also a good assignment to me, since you know that this is my take two. The take one should have been in 2012. But they always said that second chances are the best chances. Second chances have already, and I think you have seen that movie, si Basya. Napanood nyo na ba yung movie na yun? Second chances, di ba? Second chances are always better chances because getting to know the establishment of a good rapport are becoming a good cementing factor for second chances. Second chances is also a good opportunity of being tolerant of one another's weaknesses. No? If before we were very exacting on one another, the second chances is becoming very tolerant and very accepting. Third is, this is, I repeat, a homecoming. And so I'd like to tell everyone that I'm very, very happy to be home. I'm very, very happy to be back at each other's embrace. I thank the Lord of the opportunity to be given generously to me to be working together with us all here. I cannot promise you heaven. I just want to give you what I can do best. But as early as the second day of my official assumption, I already draw a lot of inspirations from the people I've met. Early morning today, I saw a group of teachers pulling through lists. Of course, I suspected already that they were teachers based on the shirt they wore. I followed them where they would be heading, and I noticed, as you all know, I live at the NAIAP, so malapit lang sila. So I followed where they were heading, and I saw that they were heading towards People's Park. I tried to follow them and find out. Of course, I had already a suspicion based on the trolley I saw that they will be distributing module. But I kept my suspicion to myself so that the answer will be coming out from the mouth of the teachers. Friends, they have arranged themselves under modules, under some tables under the trees at the People's Park, and started to distribute. The scene was so amazing that I took pictures myself, and I was almost on the verge of crying. A lot of people cannot give respect to us, but here are nameless and faceless teacher giving honor and name to the Department of Education. I know at this COVID-19, it's not easy to deliver education, but we can only do the best we can. This morning, I told myself, there is indeed a great pride of becoming a leader of people who can stand on the challenge despite of the limitations of movement, of resources, and everything. We can build from here. We can build our strength from this honor that our people are doing to give name to our Department of Education. I know in the coming days that more and more of this unfolding of spectacular experiences I will be witnessing here. I tell you another scene at 7:24 that I was going around. I saw in one school printing machines already heated up. When you say that at 7:24 in the morning, printing machines were already heating up, that means they may have printed already as early as 5 o'clock. My God, I'm so privileged to be here and to be part of this honorable men and women. Lord, thank you very much for bringing me here. I'm sure I will draw a lot of energy, inspiration, and dynamism from what these people are doing. More and more, we will be navigating the narrow path of mediocrity and our being not so prepared of this COVID-19. Who else is prepared anyway? A lot of businesses have even closed, and even church services are not spared by COVID-19. We can do so much only with what we know that we can survive on. We are doing better. Today, we will inch more of what we can do better by attacking assessment, performance assessment area. I know our way of looking into performance-based assessment this time will have another dimension. And I'm sure the team of Dr. Melanie Estacio will handle this. The dimension is doing the performance-based assessment in the context of a modular-based education, blended education, or an education that is facilitated either by cluster or by parents or a different kinds of contexts and stories and circumstances. Knowing Dr. Melanie Estacio, I'm sure she can give you a lot of input on here. But friends, I can contribute a little of what I know. I can contribute by telling you that we can begin assessment on a good understanding on how we want our learners to be in their future. And that's looking into a child on what we want a child to be. The performance standards should be based on the context, the input, the process, and checking in the end whether what we want to be from the learner is what we want, we can see at the end. These are some of the basic elements of our performance-based assessment. But today, let me enjoy to my heart's content the two great sites that can make me so energized and enamored in the region that I now take over and call my home. To all of you, my best wishes, and please be a little be a little patient to me in terms of my time. After I took over yesterday, I should have spent going around and getting to know you, but travel restriction, health protocols does not warrant. I started doing my homework by stalking on the FB page of some people I know. I have sensed that there are a lot of friends requests already, but please give me a little time. I will kick out the people from the other regions where I came from so that I can already accommodate you. Last night I already started cleansing up my social media account. I was already able to finish from the alphabet A. I will continue to the next alphabet until I am able to kick them out all so that I can accommodate my friends in my new home now. So please be a little patient. Sa inyong lahat, keep safe. Marami-rami pa ang dapat nating gagawin. But we can only do this when our heart is happy with what we have already accomplished. And we are very, very motivated in what we will be doing next. God bless you all. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alan G. Farnazo, our new DepEd Region 11 Director. And we are also happy, sir, that you are back in our region. And together, we will fight together and continue the limelight of Region 11 shine despite of the challenges of the COVID-19. Thank you very much, sir, and God bless. And now we shall continue and to know the rationale and what is in store for us during the 3-day training on performance-based assessment. Let us call in Dr. Reynato N. Pakpakin, Curriculum and Learning Management Division Education Program Supervisor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ma'am Gibbs. Good morning to our Regional Director, Dr. Alan G. Farnazo, our Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Maria Ines C. Asuncion, our CLMD Chief, Dr. Meridian B. Algier, my fellow education programs, to all schools division superintendents, assistant schools division superintendents, the CID chiefs, the CID education program supervisors, the trainers, our viewers, good morning. in support to the regional basic education learning continuity plan and to provide guidance in the provision of quality assessment of student learning and on the grading scheme in the new normal, and in response to the challenges of the delivery of basic education for school year 2020-2021, the Department of Education Regional Office 11 through the Curriculum and Learning Management Division shall conduct a series of seminars and workshops on the development of contextualized assessment programs. The activities aims to develop and evaluate the learning outcomes assessment programs to ensure that schools are provided with quality technical assistance on assessment and grading practices that will most meaningfully support learner development and will respond to varied contexts at this time. The program is that it will make importance on the aspect of learning assessment to help facilitate the understanding of the impact and outcome of education programs. A fundamental measure of the success of any curriculum is the quality of student learning. Knowing that the extent to which students have achieved the outcomes specified in the curriculum is fundamental to both improving teaching and evaluating the curriculum. So it is believed that with the conduct of this series of seminars and workshops on the development of contextualized assessment programs, the quality of assessment programs for learning outcomes will be meaningful and substantial and will address the desired proficiency level in support to our regional strategic objective of achieving 100% of learners with at least 75% proficiency level. So we have a series of activities to include. The first one is to conduct training on performance-based assessment, to develop contextualized assessments for quarter 3, quarter 4, quarter 1, quarter 2, and also to quality assure the developed quality contextualized assessment, and also to launch the regional test bank. So our first activity in the series of seminars and workshops on the development of contextualized assessment programs is the conduct of this regional training on performance-based assessment. This training aims to revisit the guidelines on performance-based assessment. Specifically, the training aims to review policy guidelines on classroom assessment, to guide participants in tracking and measuring learners' progress, to adjust instruction, and to review salient features of DepEd Order 31, Series of 2020, the interim guidelines of assessment and grading in light of in light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. So also to present how performance-based assessment can develop 21st century skills among learners, to gain understanding on the nature of performance as a form of assessment, to show the importance on why teachers should require performance tasks among the learners, to utilize integration within and among learning disciplines in preparing performance-based assessment, and to present exemplars on how performance-based assessments are developed. So we believe in the Curriculum and Learning Management Division that with this training, we can address the desired proficiency level in support to the regional strategic objective. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reynato N. Pakpakin, the Curriculum and Learning Management Division Education Program Supervisor. So indeed, the 3 days will be full, and the topics are very important. As teachers, we have already finished the first quarter, and teachers are already starting to compute the grades of our students. So what is in store? So that is what we are going to learn during our 3-day training. So thank you very much, sir. And so now we would like to inform everyone that we have identified, there are 130 identified participants, and they are inside this Zoom platform, while our more than 2,000 participants, guests and visitors are watching our live broadcast via the CLMD Region 11 DepEd YouTube channel. So to all of us, once again, good morning. And before we are going to start with our first session, reminders from the training management to all our identified participants. Please do not forget to register using the attendance link, which will be given to you by your division chiefs. Morning attendance is open 8 and closes 10 o'clock in the morning, while the afternoon attendance opens 12 and closes 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Links will also be given by your division chiefs for the breakout sessions. Attending guests and visitors are no longer allowed to join the different breakout sessions in the afternoon. Certificate of participation will be emailed using the email address or accounts that you have used during the registration. It may be DepEd or non-DepEd email accounts. We also have some reminders here before we started our session. Throughout the seminar, please keep your microphones off when it is not your turn to speak. Questions will be catered during the open forum, which will be after all the sessions. You may use the chat box to key in your questions, or you may click the raise your hand icon to be acknowledged and read your questions. And now we are going to start with our first session. Okay, before we will start with our first session, we are going to hear a short orientation on the Katame, and this will be given to us by Dr. Brenda Belonio. Ma'am Brenda, good morning.
Good morning. My utmost respects to our Regional Director, Dr. Alan G. Farnaso, CESO 4, and to our Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Maria Ines C. Asuncion, CESO 4, all SDSS and ASDSS of our 11 SDOs, to our Chief of the Curriculum and Learning Management Division in the Regional Office, Dr. Mary Jean D. Aldigur, to our CID Chiefs and EPSS of our SDOs, and of course, to the team of our learning facilitators we have with us, and we're very fortunate to have them. We have Dr. Melanie P. Estacio, ma'am, and the rest of the team. And to our regional office education program supervisors, and the rest of the teachers who are in our virtual arena this time, and for our viewers in our live of FB and YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. In behalf of the Quality Assurance Division, headed of course by our Chief, Mr. Janelito S. Atilio, I would like to present to you and give a short orientation regarding the Quality Assurance, Technical Assistance, Monitoring, and Evaluation as our online evaluation of this 3-day regional training performance-based assessment. Okay, now here, we have this 2 links. We have the daily evaluation, which will be answered starting today up to the last day of our training. We have the link tinyurl.com/TGYN6QBH. And we also have the QR code, and you can make use of this for your QR scanner apps in your cell phone. And these links will be given to our technical staff for us to be notified at the end of our training. And we have also the end of the program evaluation. We have the link tinyurl.com/2UVYUVNU, and we also have the QR code. And this will be answered on the last day of our training, February 11, 2021. Okay. We have this part of our evaluation, online evaluation for personal details, evaluation of session and trainer or facilitator, and the program management operations. When we open the link, we can see the personal details as like this. Of course, this is familiar already to us because we made use of this every time that we have training. We have 3 days. We have to fill in all the data necessary here. We have 3 days. For the day, we will just click on the drop-down menu. And of course, we will also enter our name and the rest of the data that the online evaluation tool is needing. After that, we will go to the evaluation proper for the trainer and facilitator, and of course for the session. For the session rating, we have this 7 indicators, and we have this 5 options. It will start with the strongly disagree, disagree, neither agree nor disagree, agree, and strongly agree. I'd like to emphasize to please be careful in ticking our answers here, because every option that we are going to tick has a corresponding point. For strongly disagree, it has 1 point. Disagree, 2 points. Neither agree nor disagree, 3 points. Agree, 4 points. And strongly agree, 5 points. Okay, so we have here for the session. And after that, we also have, after the quantity data, we also have a quali for the comments and suggestions about the session. And for the learning facilitators, since we have a team of facilitators, we are going to tick or choose in the drop-down menu as to whose facilitator we are going to rate. We have here 7 indicators for this part. And then we also have to be careful in ticking our answers, especially for those who are using cell phones. When we swipe our cell phone for the options, please be careful because sometimes it will hang up and it will also affect for your answers. If it happens that you send already your answers and you want to change your evaluation because you have mistakenly ticked your evaluation here, just inform the program management team so that the program management team will also inform us, the quality assurance division, and so that we can also remove your first evaluation and consider your second evaluation as your final. Okay, after also your quantity, your rating, we are going to put also our comments or suggestions for our learning facilitators. For here, for the comments and suggestions, can be areas for improvement or for the strength of our facilitators. For the significant learning, we have 2 questions, that one. And then for the last one, for the program management team, we have this 2 areas, virtual training environment, and the other one is for the program management team. All the indicators are self-explanatory, and all the options here, as what I have said, please be careful in ticking our answers because these are the common errors that every program management team encountered. For the critical incident, we have here an option for the yes or no. This is a drop-down menu. And after that, we are going to answer some questions here and then submit. Again, as what I have said, if it happened that you have to change our evaluation because you have ticked all the first column on strongly disagree and you find it not the exact evaluation that you want, please inform the program management team so that we can also correct it and the final evaluation will be considered. And on the last day, we have the end of the program evaluation. This is the tool. We have this one. This is also in context with GAD. We have here for start date of the program, just click it and it will automatically give you the date. Just tick the date for February 11. So these are the indicators and still the same. We have 5 options. We have program management based on the training matrix. I believe we have already the training matrix given to us by the program management team. And we have 2 indicators for the attainment of objectives. For the delivery of content, this is the part of our learning facilitators. We have 5 indicators here. For the learning materials, these are the electronic copy or the e-learning materials that our program management team is giving to all the participants. Program management team, we have 3 indicators. And for the virtual training environment, this refers to the virtual training, the platform that the program management team is using. And then we also have here the qualitative data. In terms of recommendation for future training program, these are the recommendation that the program management team would like to ask from you in relation to the training that they are conducting for this 3 days. And then submit. Again, if it happens that you want to change your evaluation, please inform the program management team, and that the program management team will inform Quality Assurance Division so that we can consider the final evaluation of our participants. Okay, so that's all. And then we have here also for the rating, these are equivalent, as I mentioned earlier, and the numerical rating and description. We have 3.7 to 4.5 as the minimum standard of our region as the passing rate. Okay, for whatever would be the result, this will give the program management team a venue for continual improvement to achieve high quality standards of giving services in our region. Now, I'd like also to end this short orientation with this saying, quality service is measured through customer satisfaction, and a customer-focused organization understands the requirements of their customers, why we need the requirements are needed, and measures how these requirements are met. God bless everyone and enjoy our 3-day training. I know we enjoyed this much. God bless.
Hello, Ma'am Dujin. Shall we continue?
Go ahead, Ma'am Divs.
Okay.
Okay na po.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma'am Dujin. So sorry for the technical problem. And so again, we thank Dr. Brenda Belonio for giving us the orientation on how to accomplish our evaluation form. So to all our participants, let us be reminded of these evaluation links. It is very important in the improvement of the future trainings of DepEd Region 11. And so finally, we are going to start with our first session. So our speaker is a recipient of a scholarship sponsored by the Embassy of the United States of America, e-learning graduate course in English as a foreign language in Indiana University. The Regional Student Assessment Officer of the Basic Education Assistance for Mindanao. She also went to Melbourne, Australia for the Assessment Fellowship Training Australian Council for Educational Research in 2006 to talk about understanding assessment through DepEd, Order number 8, series of 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Melanie P. Estacio, Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Tagum City Division.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Develine.
Good morning.
Good morning. My courtesy to our Director, Alan G. Farnaso, Director 4, and of course, our Assistant Director, Maria Ines Asuncion, Dr. Maria Ines Asuncion, to the CLMD group. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for working with the team to come up with a concept of training the whole region in terms of classroom performance-based assessment. Also to the CID family of each division And I would like also to acknowledge my team, no? Of course, myself being their team leader. And can you show your camera? We have Dr. Hannelyn Boyles from Tagum City, supervisor from the EPS from Tagum City. We also have Dr. Tito Endrina from Digos City, CID. And of course, Dr. Hervasio Salinas. So together, we will be facilitating this learning episode with you for 3 days. So this morning, myself and Dr. Boyles will be with you. The mechanics or the process of our usapang assessment ngayong araw would be let us present to you our prepared slides. Then after that, allow us to call participants to also participate, no, in the discussion. Ang hirap nito because we have a very limited discussion platform. Ibang-iba pag naka face-to-face. So, but it seems that I know naman the participants from the CID in a different division from time to time. Allow me to call your name in order for you to participate in the discussion. So, basically, I will be discussing with you the different principles that our K-12 curriculum is advocating. Okay, then after this, Dr. Hannelyn Boyles will be discussing to you what are some of the changes or some modification or adjustment made by our curriculum, particularly by the central office, in order to respond to the situation now. So basically, she will be discussing the interim guidelines on assessment that is DO 31 2020. Ako naman will be focusing on DO 8 to series of 2015. Then after that, we will be proceeding to how are we going to develop performance-based assessment in this time of pandemic. So anong gagawin natin? We couldn't seek our children, no? Paano nila gawin? Paano natin tawag nito? How are we going to create learning assessment task for them that we are not seeing them face to face? And I would really encourage you to ask questions during the open forum. I know your concern will not be totally answered during our discussion, but you are given the chance to raise your question, to raise your concern, your confusion during the open forum. The team would be very, very glad to assist you and to guide you and to entertain all your questions. Okay? Okay. So, shall we start? Nakita niyo na ba yung aking ibang mga kasama dito sa training? Okay. So, I know you are familiar with all this these supervisors. And thank you very much, Dr. Boyles, Dr. Salinas, and Dr. Endrina for taking on the challenge with me. Okay, kasi ang hirap naman kung ako lang isa dito magdi-discuss with you. So I also tap them. Okay, let me share to you my screen now. Okay, can you see my screen? Can I hear a yes from the participants?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, I miss this group. I belong to the CID
Yes,
group.
ma'am. Melanie.
To the CLMD group.
I miss you.
I am happy that, Ma'am Jean gave me this opportunity to have a discussion. Informal lang ni, dili lang tas kaayong magsineryoso, no? To discuss with you this policy guidelines on classroom assessment for the K-12 basic education curriculum. So what is my reference of this is, of course, the DO8 series of 2015. Why we have to discuss this? Because this is really the meat, no, the guidelines, the concept and principles of K-12 basic education are being discussed. Okay? Then, if you notice yung DO31, ang difference lang naman noon is the grading system. So we don't give premium na muna sa quarterly exam, which is the paper and pencil test, but we focus more on the performance task. Okay? So titingnan natin mamaya, how are we going to create a performance task na pwede talaga siya for pandemic. Okay? So shall we start by discussing some of the principles now and some of the concepts of curriculum assessment principle. Again, may I remind you to mute your microphone para hindi ko malaman o hindi namin malaman kung ano nangyayari sa inyo. Okay, so to start with, so our K-12 assessment principle first is advocating, or the K-12 curriculum assessment is advocating what we call the zone of proximal development. Okay? And I know everyone knows who is Vygotsky. So hindi ko na masyado siyang i-feature dito. So you have here in the slide, so the zone of proximal development, also known as the zone of potential development, it is a concept often used in classroom to help students with skill development. For K-12 development, for K-12 curriculum, our main task here is to develop skills among our students. So the core of CPD is that a more knowledgeable person can enhance a student's learning by guiding them through a task slightly above their ability or ability level. Meaning, as a student becomes more competent, the expert gradually stops helping until the student can perform the skill by themselves. So, saan tayo mauuna? Yung mga activities na ibibigay natin sa kanila would be within their level muna. So it has some implication when we develop our module. So hindi po tayo gagawa ng module na yung mga activity is beyond the level of our children. So let's review our module. Hindi lang basta naglagay ka ng activity dyan, but you have to assess and you have to decide and you have to consider where are your learners are. So, ano lang yung kaya niya. So, especially in times of pandemic, na hindi naman lahat ng parents pwedeng mag-guide sa mga bata, so we have some limitations here. Dapat ang mga activities na ilalagay natin sa ating modules would be within only to the level, ability level of our students. Okay? So, the idea of CPD came from, of course, from Vygotsky, in early 1990s, no? Vygotsky believed that every person has two stages of skills. Yung in-explain ko a while ago. So first is a level they can achieve by themselves. So i-consider natin yan. A level where they can achieve by themselves without any help. And a level they can achieve with the help of an experienced mentor or a teacher. So dalawang klase, no, ang pag-develop ng skill ng bata. First, a level they can achieve by themselves, and the other one is a level they can achieve with the help of an experienced mentor or teacher. So Vygotsky referred to the level of an individual can achieve with the help of their zone of proximal development. The idea of, kung sa classroom, merong pairing tayo, di ba? We pair the student with another, yung medyo knowledgeable sa kanya. We also have, we also make ourselves available to help and to guide the students in developing their skills. So idea of pairing instruction with the student is known as, ang tawag natin dyan, di ba, scaffolding. We scaffold kids as they learn the skill. So it would be very sensible enough and logical enough that when we arrange our activity in the module or in the classroom later on, pag wala ng pandemic, we always begin with what is simple, with what is known, and within the level of our children. Okay? So, yung scaffolding tsaka ang CPD are often used, in the classroom. Magagamit din siya outside ng classroom. Take for example, ang parent o isang kuya tinuturuan yung kanyang kapatid to learn how to bike, to ride in a bike. So yung coaching doon, yung maa-apply din natin yung concept ng CPD. So first muna, you have to guide the child, and after that, pag alam niya na and he is already confident to do the task, so eventually dahan-dahanin mo yung guide mo sa kanya. So you have to stop guiding and let him be. Okay? So ano yung implication nito sa pandemic ngayon? Ano implication nito? That we are not seeing our children face to face. So again, there are limitations. Hindi natin sila na-assist, in their learning, but they are learning by themselves. What we can do is to provide models to them. So before mo paansarin yung bata na activities sa module, make sure that you provide examples, you provide models, you provide instruction on how to do it para masundan ng mga bata. Okay? So there are two appropriate assessment. The DO8 is advocating. First is ensuring learner success to move from guided to independent display of knowledge, understanding, and skill. Huwag natin sila agad ilagay sa swimming pool pag hindi pa sila marunong lumangoy. So we have to guide them. Or letter B, enabling learner to transfer knowledge, understanding, and skills successfully in future situation. Ito po yung dalawang goal natin why we are advocating itong CPD ni Vygotsky. Because we want to ensure that learners are successfully moving from the basic to to a more complicated skill, more complicated activity in order to own a skill or to learn a skill and eventually show that they are performing the skills. And later on, maka-transfer na sila. Kung ano yung na-learn nila, yung na-perform nila, they can already transfer that to others or to any or different situation. Okay. Next would be assessment facilitate the development of learners' higher order thinking skills and the 21st century skills. Okay, so mga supervisors, nung hindi pa pandemic, di ba, you go to the classroom with the principal, with the master teachers, and you are observing our teachers doing the teaching learning process. Have you experienced na yung teacher, there are times na always siya, ang ginagawa lang ng bata is to fill in the blanks on the statement being made of or being said by the teacher. For example, sabi ni teacher, and what is the And what is the sum of this? Tapos ang bata mag-a-answer. Then, how do you proceed? Answer na naman ng bata. So, parang ganun lang ang nangyayari sa classroom. Parang si teacher magpa-provide ng statement, si bata, i-finish niya lang or tatapusin niya lang yung statement ng teacher. In that way, hindi po natin masyado na de-develop ang 21st century skill among kids kasi templated lahat ang nangyayari sa classroom. When we say developing higher order thinking skills, no, or particularly the 21st century skills, we are talking about giving the kids or the children a particular activity where they solve problem, where they discuss things, where they make judgment, where they compromise with each other, where they negotiate. Masyado na tayong naka-hook dun sa principle natin na pag sa classroom, si teacher talaga ang magsasalita. Okay? For example, no, in a science classroom, you would say, ang lesson mo would be about buoyancy. Okay, buoyancy. Hindi ako science major, but I will try. Okay, pag buoyancy, of course, you have to motivate your children, you have to motivate your learners on how to learn, no, the subject, kung ano yung importance niya. Then, the usual classroom would siguro, sige, mag-e-experiment tayo. Yan ang naisip ni teacher, mag-e-experiment tayo. So usually, ang science teacher would say, okay, these are the procedure of the experiment. Kindly copy them. Then, these are the instruction. These are the materials. What you need to do is to follow the procedure in order to perform the experiment. So again, a typical classroom, di ba? Okay. Ito naman yung classroom na sinasabi nating may constructivist approach. Yung isa kanina, traditional yon, di ba? Nung mga high school pa tayo, di ba, that is how we do the experiment. Isang session, kokopyahin natin yung procedure na experiment, kung ano yung gagawin. Then the following day, ipe-perform natin yung experiment. Okay? So that's how we learn science before. Okay? So si teacher magpo-provide ng lahat, procedure, lahat ng materials and everything. Then after that, from 1 up to 10 siguro na procedure, susundin natin yon in order to come up with an output. But a constructivist classroom which advocates 21st century skill, ito yung mangyayari. Magsabi lang si teacher, class, we just want to find out whether this material floats or sinks in the water. Ganun lang si teacher. Okay, so I have material here. Meron akong anong nilalagyan. Siguro wala naman silang beaker or what, no? Sa ano natin, hindi naman lahat. And usually wala naman tayong laboratory. So sabihin na lang, meron akong tabo dito. Meron akong palanggana dito. So titingnan nyo kung itong blade ba ito, magfo-float ba siya or magsisink. Okay? So yun lang ang question ni teacher muna. So, ang goal is to find out whether the blade will sink or float. Ganun lang siya. Wala masyadong procedure, wala masyadong instruction, basta bahalang mga bata whether paano nila gawin yon to find out whether the blade will sink or float. So, kanya-kanya na, can you imagine? Can you visualize what I am trying to say here? Then, mga bata, kukuha na sila ng tabo, ng palanggana, and do the thing as instructed by the teacher to find out whether the blade will sink or float. Then, after that, one group would say, perhaps, teacher, it sinks. Other group, perhaps, would say, it floats. Okay? So, dyan na magsisimula yung discussion. Bakit kaya sa isang grupo nag-sync, yung isa nag-floats? Anong ginawa nila? Then, that's the time you tell your student or the group is, sige nga, isulat nyo nga anong ginawa ninyo. They're the one to write their procedure. Kung anong ginawa nila, bakit nag-float and bakit nag-sync. Then, you will see the difference why it floats or it sinks. Maybe yung isa, konti lang yung water, yung isa madami, maybe yung isa, yung manner ng pag-place nila ng blade sa water. So, ang daming magsa-surface na points for discussion. Okay? Then after that, you proceed with your lesson on buoyancy. So, that is how we see a 21st classroom. Okay, ngayon, pandemic man tayo, you can still do that in the module. Kung baga, yung instruction mo would make the kids, yung activity nyo mo, would make the kids think critically. Hindi lang yung spoon feed mo siya. Okay? Hindi lang yung sabihin mo, it sinks because blah, 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 ikaw na yung nag-provide ng answer. So, it would be a very, very simple activity, pero it will trigger their 21st century skills to develop. Like, for example, another is, sabihin mo, magkano babaon mo ngayong araw? Okay? For example, sa mga grade 3 pupil o grade 4 pupil, sabi mo, sabi na 15 pesos, 20 pesos yung iba, blah, blah, blah. So, anong binili mo out of the 15 pesos? Anong binili mo out of the 20 pesos? So, simple activity as that would trigger higher order thinking skills rather than providing them all the, all the answers and you tell them your statement, and after that, they will just answer or just fill in the blanks to complete your statement. So, I hope you get my point here. So, ganun po ang gusto ni K-12 sa atin. We don't need to really come up with a very sophisticated and very comprehensive na mga activities sa mga bata. But we need to be authentic. Ano ba yung level nila ngayon? Ano ba yung interest nila ngayon? And from there, huhugot ka at ibibigay mo sa kanila, as part of your lesson or as part of your motivation. Okay? So, yun ang principle or ang konsepto na gusto ni K-12 i-advocate, sa pagdating sa teaching, learning, and assessment. By the way, hindi mo talagang mahugot yung assessment sa teaching, learning activity, di ba? Assessment is always part of teaching, learning activity. In fact, 70% of teaching, learning activity is assessment. The mere fact of asking the kids, how are you today? That's already an informal assessment, di ba? So, ganun siya. So, if you notice, naka-embed talaga ang assessment sa teaching learning process. I know you will agree with me. Okay. So, assessment in the K-12 basic education program. First, you know this, we are just reviewing this, of course. Diversity of learners inside the classroom. Ang dami nating learners, iba-iba yung style nila, iba-iba yung anong meron sila, iba-iba din yung the way they learn. Okay? And another thing is the need for multiple ways of measuring their varying activity, abilities, and learning potential. Okay, ang hirap naman nito, sabi ni teacher, perhaps, because I have 40 students, and I would give, the K-12 curriculum is requiring me to give multiple ways of measuring their varying abilities and learning potential. Paano na lang kaya ito? Sa quiz 1 ko, dapat ganito. Sa quiz 2 ko, dapat ganyan. But that is a misconception. Kasi pwede naman tayong magbigay ng assessment where all the learning activity, or where all the learning styles and multiple ways of measuring, naka-embed na siya. So hindi naman ibig sabihin nito na ang quiz 1 mo written, ang quiz 2 mo oral, ang quiz 3 mo would be performance. No? Mag-show sila, mag-show and mag-write and tell sila something. But you can integrate all these skills or all these ways of measuring kids in one activity, in one performance activity where they can write, they can speak, and they can perform. Pero isang activity lang. Mamahirapan kami paano sila i-grade. No, meron kang rubrics. Okay? Meron kang rubrics. So, dapat ang written nila would be meron kang rubrics para dyan. Ilang items kaya yun? Mga 5. O sa speaking nila, you will assess another 5 points yun. Sa performance nila, siguro another 5. So all in all, yung assessment mo for that competency, 15 points lahat yon. But in different ways. Hindi lang yung puro lang written. Hindi lang din yung puro lang speaking. Hindi lang puro lang show. Okay? So, what I am trying to say here, you can give one assessment, but there will be multiple ways of measuring the skill. We will be talking about more of that tomorrow because Dr. Andrina and Dr. Salinas will be journeying with you in terms of this. Now, the role of learners are as a co-participant in the assessment process. Gone are the days na yung may alam lang ng assessment si teacher. Diba? Yung paper and pencil, ikaw lang may alam kung ano yung question number 1, question number 2, question number 3. Ang mga bata would be passive. They will just answer your question. No? Diba? But this time, si learner kasi is co-participant na in the assessment process. What is this all about? In the beginning of the lesson, dapat alam na ng bata how are they going to perform. Alam na ng bata what kind of assessment are they taking. So you have to discuss that with the children. Sa module, meron din ng ganon. Hindi po enough na nasabi nyo lang na at the end of this activity, you will learn blah, blah, blah. It is also important that at the end of this activity, you will perform ganito. Ito yung expected sa inyo. You will show the following skill. Ito yung gagawin mo. Gagawa kayo ng, for example, gagawa kayo ng origami. Okay? So alam nila na gagawa sila ng origami. Ano yung mga skills na dapat nilang matutunan? So yun ang i-learn ninyo in different episodes of your teaching and learning process. So alam ng bata, bakit mo tinuturo yan? Because at the end of this lesson, gagawa kami ng origami. So I need to learn this particular skill. Okay? So gonna the days na, okay, study this. These are the pointers. Then tomorrow will be our quiz. So very limited ang participation ng mga bata. Okay, the students can even participate kung ano yung how they can be assessed. No? Ito yung ina-advocate ni K-12. Paano naman natin to gagawin? Pandemic ngayon, of course we have limitations. Kasi sa module lang tayo nag-uusap. Titingnan natin ngayon yung mga modules na to. Interactive ba siya? Okay? Or yung module ba, parang si teacher lang ang nagsasalita doon? Napapaisip ba ang mga bata when they read the module? What particular, ano bang participation ng mga bata doon? Mag-a-answer lang ba ng activity? Sa instruction nyo ba, binigyan nyo sila ng time also to think by themselves? Okay. So ito yung dapat nating tingnan sa ating mga modules, especially now that we are preparing for the quarter 3. Okay? Next would be, what is classroom assessment? Pabalik-balik naman ito. Even our director, Alan G. Farnaso, already talked about this. What is classroom assessment? Classroom assessment is a joint process that involves teacher and learner. So the assessment, hindi lang concern ni teacher, concerned po siya ng mga learners. So it should be in unity with instruction. So what do you mean by this? You have to assess what you teach. You have to assess the way you teach. For example, yung isa muna ha, you assess what you teach. Kung ano yung laman ng tinuturo mo, yun lang i-assess mo. Okay? And another thing is you assess the way yung style mo pagtuturo, dun din ang style mo pag-a-assess. What do I mean with this? There are times na ang ganda-ganda ng lesson ng teacher. Nag-experiment siya, ang ganda ng kanyang performances sa mga ginagawa ng mga bata. They do a lot of activities and even outside, outside the classroom. Or kung sa module pa, may mga instruction dun si teacher na yung mga bata talaga ang mag-a-assess. Ang mga bata talagang magpa-perform and they get so busy and so engaged with the teaching learning process. Okay? So ganun ang picture, Ganun ang ma-imagine nyo while the kids are learning. Or perhaps karon module man ta karon, makita siguro nimo engaged ang bata, pati yung mga parents engaged, pati yung mga members of the family. Tapos ang mga bata talagang nagpe-perform ng mga activities. Yun ang sa module mo, na instruction mo. Pero pagdating naman sa assessment, binigyan mo lang siya ng 20-item multiple choice. Do you think you are assessing the way you teach? Hindi. I-assess mo rin siya the way you teach. Okay? Ang ganda-ganda ng activity mo, tapos pagdating mo sa assessment, luya man, paper and pencil. So perhaps you will give them another situation, but they will perform using the same skill. Pero ganun pa rin ang pag-a-assess mo, ang style ng assessment mo with the kids. Yun ang ibig sabihin, it should be in unity with instruction. So dalawang bagay yon. You have to assess what you teach and you have to assess the way you teach. Okay? I hope, kasi hindi ko kayo nakikita. Klaro ba ako so far, Ma'am Susan?
Yes, ma'am. Very clear.
Okay, so I hope very clear, no?
Lagi. Yes, Melanie, I love you. I miss you.
Okay, thank you. Miss you too. Okay, so ganun lang po siya. I know you all know these things, but I am reminding you na ganun ang pagkasabi ng K-12 curriculum pagdating sa assessment. Okay? So ang bida dito mga bata, hindi yung teacher, hindi yung supervisor, ang bida mga bata. So if you see a classroom doing a lot of things with the children, or you see a child na sa bahay nila ngayon nag-a-answer ng module, hindi lang yung nag-a-answer dun sa table nila, but they are actually doing something in their backyard. Perhaps they are planting, perhaps they are doing something with the family, or naghuhugas pa ng pinggan, part ng kanilang teaching learning process. Yan, you are training that. Maski limitado tayo ngayon, still, I can say, you are teaching them the 21st century skill. Okay? Ang mga pictures na naglalabasan yun sa FB, yung mga bata talagang ma-answer dun sa sa module. Hindi yun enough to tell that they are really learning the 21st century skill. Let them do the thing. Hindi lang yung answer doon. Okay? Sige. What is classroom assessment? It is used to track learners' progress. Of course, alam nyo yan. Relation to learning standard and development of 21st century skills. So yung learning standard natin, alam nyo yan. Meron tayong content standard, meron tayong performance standard, and meron tayong competencies. And when we learn competency, we are actually training them to develop the skill, no? Hindi natin tinitrain sila to develop the competency. but to develop the skill na magagamit nila ngayon at saka in the future. Okay? It provides basis for profiling of student performance on the learning competencies and standard of the curriculum. So where are we now? Are we developing the 21st century? So yun ang purpose ng assessment. Why do we assess? Hindi lang makita mo sa teaching and learning, hindi lang para sa mga bata, but also to make sure that what is in the curriculum are being met. It promotes self-reflection. Kaya dun sa module ba natin, meron dong mag-isip din ng bata? Meron ba silang point for reflection? Hindi naman ibig sabihin na they will write a long essay. A bulletin perhaps of their ideas would suffice. No, hindi ibig sabihin na magra-write sila ng mga napakahabang sentences for their reflection, or perhaps they can draw the reflection, they can paint the reflection. Okay? Ang importante lang talaga, may self-reflection. Kasi pag tinuturuan natin ang mga bata mag-reflect, eventually they will learn to also analyze and to assess their learning. Okay? Ito yung metacognition, no? Thinking what they are thinking. So, good lang. Very simple lang. Can be bulleted form of self-reflection. Isulat nila yung answer nila, or they can draw, they can paint, or they can do something to engage them to self-reflection. Okay? But there are some traps here. Okay? Kasi sabi ni Melanie Estacio, dapat talagang bonggang-bongga yung mga teaching learning sa classroom. But there are times, ako experience ko to, when I was observing classes before, ang galing-galing ng teacher magturo, ang dami-dami niyang strategies ginagamit. The kids are enjoying a lot, no, sa teaching learning process niya. So so she engages all the kids in using different strategies. Pero at the end of the lesson, tanungin mo ang mga bata, what did you learn? So focusing on the content standard, no? What skill ang na-develop nila? Hindi makasagot ang mga bata. Bakit kaya? Perhaps si teacher nag-focus dun sa games. Focus dun sa kanyang mga pa-ek-ek, no? Sa at nakalimutan niyo yung essential. Yung essential po, wag nating kalimutan pag gumagamit tayo ng different non-traditional way of teaching learning process. Hindi natin kalimutan na mayroon tayong content na gustong ma-learn para sa mga bata, and of course yung performance para sa mga bata. Kaya they will say, okay, how was your lesson for today? When I ask the kids, sabi niya, enjoy sila, gusto nila si teacher. Pero sabi ko, what did you learn? Ano yung lesson ninyo? Hindi makasagot ang bata. So they remember the game, but they don't remember the lesson. So do you think we are hitting our target? No. Kasi ang essential doon, ano yung content standard mo, tsaka performance standard mo, huwag mong kalimutan. So, nakabaon yon sa different strategy that you are using. Baka nakafocus na si teacher doon sa strategy niya at hindi na sa lesson. So please also try to see that when you evaluate your module. No, yung mga activities, ang ganda-ganda na activities, pero natatabunan yung content, natatabunan yung skills na dapat i-develop ng bata. Okay. Next, I have here, classroom assessment is a process of identifying, gathering, alam nyo na yan. Okay, review. So, ang ginagather natin, not only the quantitative information, at the same time, the qualitative information. How will you do that? Quantitative, of course, they are giving you their scores during the activities. Yung scores naman, not necessarily na basis ng grades nila. Sometimes, basis lang, how do you proceed with your lesson, how do you adjust with your lesson. Yung qualitative naman, you can ask them, you can even interview parents, how are they learning ngayon na nasa bahay sila. So yun ang mga qualitative information that you may gather sa ganito. And another thing is classroom assessment method should be consistent with the curriculum standard. Okay? So magkakabit din sila. Supervisors, you're looking to the different lessons, you're looking into the different modules developed by our teachers. Yung curriculum standard ba nila? Natin, yun din ba ang nasa module? Of course, sabihin mo, of course. Okay. Pero tingnan nyo ng maigi kung talaga bang in unison siya or consistent siya with our curriculum standard. I will not discuss with you the curriculum standard. You know already the content standard and the performance standard. That's what I am trying to emphasize here. Okay? The next is it measure achievement of competencies by the learners. Okay? Yung student assessment method ba natin, nagme-measure ba talaga siya what the student achieved? Okay, enough ba siya? If we will give them the paper and pencil test, enough ba siya to make sure that the competencies are achieved or the skills being developed by the kids are achieved? So ito yung mga dapat nating tingnan. Okay, so it will bring me to the next slide. I already discussed this with you a while ago. We have, ito yung ating curriculum standard, diba? So you have your content standard, you have your performance standard, you have your learning competency. These cover a specific, specified scope of sequential topics. So yung nakikita ninyo dun sa ating curriculum, no? Ayan yun. Then naka-spell out din doon ang performance standard. Ito yung ile-learn ng bata, ito yung ipa-perform nila to show that they're actually learning the skill. So dalawa ito. So try to see kung nahihit ba ito ng ating mga ng modules that we are developing. Pero of course, meron tayong limitations ngayon because we don't do face-to-face. So balik tayo sa CPD, dapat yung mga activities lang natin is within the level of the learners. Kasi hindi assurance sa atin na lahat ng mga learners are being helped by their guardian, by their parents. Some of them nga, yung mga parents hindi yan nakakasulat, hindi nakakabasa. Yung mga parents naman nakakabasa, nakakasulat, wala naman sa bahay because they are working. So make sure, wag masyado i-bombard ang mga bata sa mga activities, no, sa module. Bawas-bawasan po natin and make sure it's within their level na maski walang help ng parents, maa-answer nila. Why I am overemphasizing this? Because we are creating frustration sa mga bata. Of course, sa teachers, ganun din. No? Hindi ito pagandahan ngayon ng kung ano-anong assessment, ano-anong activities, no, sa module. Ito, 2, 3, enough na mga activities. And it should be within the level of sa learner. Sabihin mo, ay, hindi naaabot yung competency. Hindi na learn yung competency pag ganun lang, ma'am. Okay. You have to accept it. Na limited lang talaga tayo ngayon because we don't have face-to-face. Okay? And we are not always there to help the kids to develop their skill, no? Not within their level. So, ganun lang talaga muna tayo. So, let us be contented with that. Wag masyado natin i-force sa mga bagay-bagay ngayon sa mga bata because we are facing limitations, a lot of limitations. So, ganun lang. Just be gentle with ourselves and just be gentle with our children. Okay? So, learning competencies refers to the knowledge, understanding, skill, blah, blah, blah. Alam niyo na yan. So, I will not dwell on that. So, what is assessed in the classroom? Ito yon. To align the assessment process with K-12 curriculum, the adapted cognitive process dimension, ito yung cognitive process dimension na ginagamit natin sa K-12. May be used as a guide in the formulation of assessment tasks and activities. So we start with remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating. I am not telling you that lahat ng module dapat mag-start sa remembering. Okay? I'm not telling you na lahat ng module dapat mag-start sa applying. You try to see, pero hindi pwedeng mag-start siya ng creating, tapos pupunta siya ng analyzing. Or mag-start siya ng analyzing, pagkatapos pupunta siya ng remembering. Okay? So there should be a combination of all this cognitive processes, but dapat from simplest to more complex. So ano bang easier? Understanding or remembering? Kung gusto mong maggamit ng remembering, understanding, applying, in that order. Hindi ka pwedeng applying, then understanding, tapos remembering. Kasi ang applying is more complicated than remembering. So ganun lang po ang gusto natin i-emphasize dito. At hindi naman lahat ng lesson andito ito. So as a mentor, as a who provides technical assistance sa field, wag nyo always hanapin ito na present ito lahat. No? Mabuang si teacher. Okay? So there might be a combination of 3 of this, but it should be in a logical order. Okay? So titingnan nyo kung anong mas mahirap, anong mas madali. So yung, of course, yung madali, yun ang uunahin. Okay? So hindi din pwedeng yung lesson puro lang remembering. Hindi lang pwede ang lesson na puro lang analyzing or evaluating. Okay? So I will not read and discuss one by one. Ito lang yung point na gusto kong i-discuss with you, na there should be 2 or more combination of this sa lesson ng mga teachers. Kung gagamitin nila ito, hindi ibig sabihin na they will always start with remembering. They always doesn't mean that they will start with analyzing. Ang point lang dito is it should be from simpler to complex. At hindi lang isang cognitive process domain or dimension ang gagamitin ni teacher. I hope I am clear with that. Okay? Am I clear ba? Sige na lang. Sir Danny Duhinog, am I clear, Doctor?
You're very clear, Ma'am Melanie.
Ay, si Sir Danny Duhinog, igitanong ko saan. I'm just kidding.
Hindi ko sinasagot.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for listening, ha? Thank you for listening. Let's go down to how are the learners assessed in the classroom. Okay. Sabi ni UNESCO, ano yung UNESCO? Ito yung UNESCO Program on Teaching and Learning for Sustainable Future, of course. Formative assessment refers to ongoing form of assessment closely linked to learning process. So, it is informal. Okay? Kung magbibigay kayo ng formative assessment, lalo-lalo na dun sa mga module, huwag masyadong seryoso. Na murag pasa ng bata ang daigdig. Because formative assessment is informal by nature. Yung parang nagpi-play lang ang mga bata, yung parang they're enjoying while doing the activity. Okay? Kaya kasi nga, informal. Why I say na dapat nag-enjoy sila? Bakit? Kasi yung activity dapat within their level lang. No? Huwag tayo magbigay ng hindi. Kaya ang mga parents na ngayon ang nag-a-answer ng module. Kasi beyond their level yung mga activities na binibigay natin. So pag-isipan natin po yon. Another is, it provides immediate feedback to both learners and teacher. Sa ngayon, very limited tayo dito because we don't have face-to-face. Hayaan na muna natin yan. It helps prepare learners for summative assessment. Yung module po, hindi po yun summative assessment. They're supposed to prepare the kids for the summative assessment. Okay, pag sabing summative assessment, hindi naman ibig sabihin na quarterly exam yon. Pwede yon, ang summative assessment can be a performance task-based assessment after a unit of lesson or after a chapter of lesson or after a particular lesson. Okay, so titingnan po natin yung mga activities sa module natin. Nag-help ba yon for learners to be prepared for the summative assessment? Okay? So, ang formative assessment, it can be recorded but not included as a basis for grading system or for grading, grading sa grades ng mga bata. It's supposed to inform us how the kids are learning, paano natin i-adjust yung ating teaching learning process, paano natin i-adjust yung ating attack. No? How do we attack the lesson? How do we give the lesson to them, yun lang po yung purpose ng formative assessment. Okay? Lahat po na nasa module formative assessment po yun ha, hindi po hindi yun summative assessment. Okay, hindi yun magiging basis ng kanilang teaching, ng ating teaching learning process. Okay? Later on, we will be talking about paano natin bibigyan sila ng summative assessment using the performance task based assessment. Okay? Okay, so my next slide would be, ayan, the formative assessment may be conducted before the lesson, during the lesson, and after the lesson. Again, these are informal. So wag masyadong seryoso pagdating sa classroom basis sa formative assessment. Okay? Now, ito na yon. Ito yung natin ngayon eh. Marami tayong a little, di naman madami. Siguro may a bit confusion tayo dito. Kasi 'di ba, ito yung dati, correct? Meron tayong sa ating summative assessment, meron tayong written work, meron tayong performance task, meron tayong quarterly assessment. Tama ako? Nung may face-to-face pa tayo. Pero sabi ni DepEd 31, wag na muna tayong mag-quarterly assessment kasi mahirap. Kasi parents lang naman mag-answer. So ang i-focus ngayon would be performance task and written work. Correct? Pag written work, ito yon, ensures the student are able to express their learned skills and concept in written form. May include essay, blah, 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 blah. Ang performance task naman allows learner to show they know what they're able to do in diverse ways. No? Learners may create an innovative product or performance task. Yung product talagang may output sila, gagawa sila ng bola, gagawa sila ng whatever, yun. Sa TLE, pwede yun. Even sa science, and even other subject areas, pwede yun. Written output may be considered as performance task. But I know some of our teachers are looking this, yung perspective nila, yung written work, lahi good ng performance task. Actually, itong dalawa, pwede mo lang yan siya emerge in one activity, in one performance task, where the kids write something and after that, they will perform it. For example, sa language lesson, they will write a script. That's the written work. Then after that, they will role play the script. That's performance task. Pero ilang activity, ilang assessment performance task, isa lang. So, hindi hirap ang bata because they will only do one performance task, pero ang nahihit mo doon, written work na at saka performance. Am I clear here? So, hindi pwedeng, hindi ibig sabihin na dalawa ang gagawin ko. Magpe-prepare ako ng written work para ibigay ko sa mga bata para sa summative assessment nila. Magpe-prepare din ako ng performance task. Kung pwede sa ngayon, pandemic, isahin mo na lang yan. Isang performance activity na hit mo yung written work, na hit mo rin yung performance. Kung baga na hit mo yung content, na hit mo rin yung performance. Standard.
So, tailored yun. Tailored, ano. Am I right, ma'am? Tailored?
Yes ma'am. Titingnan mo. For example, you have set of competencies, 4 yun sila. Ano bang pwedeng gagawin ng bata using these competencies? Ano bang pwedeng gagawin ng bata in real life, in authentica, in real life, na kaning 3 or 4 ka competency, ma-show niya? Okay? So, gagawa ka ngayon ng tailored, may I borrow your term, Ma'am Susan, tailored na performance task-based, nandun yung written work, nakapagsulat sila, nakapagsalita sila, at nakaperform din sila. So, hindi masyado mahirap sa teacher, hindi din masyado mahirap sa mga bata. So, wag na nating i-separate. Isang performance task lang, meron ng written work, meron ng performance. Okay? So, please try to understand and make some notes here kung pwedeng mag-question pa kayo afterwards with regards to this. I will move to the next slide. Yan. So I have here types of assessment depending on function and purposes. Alam niyo na to, diagnostic, formative, summative. Hindi ko na ito. I will not dwell on this unless you have other questions or you raise that during the open forum. Okay. Ayan. Alam natin kung ano yung traditional assessment, kung ano din yung non-traditional assessment. We are not saying no to traditional assessment. We are not only saying yes to non-traditional assessment, but it should be balanced. Itong dalawang to, dapat meron to sa assessment strategy natin. Okay, when you say traditional assessment, requires students to choose among the responses. So wala masyadong liberty ang mga bata to express themselves kasi sa tatlong options mo doon lang sila mamimili. So very controlled siya ng teacher. Okay? Yung traditional assessment naman, the kids will create a sustainable response or a sustained response. Meaning, any response will do. Depende ito ngayon kung paano i-justify ng bata yung response niya. So, saan dito sa dalawa ang nag-develop ng 21st century skill? Di ba yung non-traditional assessment? Okay. So, but we don't say no to traditional assessment. We will find out later why. Okay. Let me show this table. Let me show you this table, ladies and gentlemen, my friends. Ano ba ito? Teka, nakikita nyo? Bakit ako hindi ko makita? Okay. So, traditional assessment, it tests a certain body of knowledge. True or false lang, alam mo kaagad, maski pikit ka pa, you just make a pattern, ito yung tamang answer, correct na. Pero ang non-traditional assessment, it sets up assessment tasks for student to demonstrate their knowledge, not only their knowledge, but also their skill. May demonstration ng knowledge and skill. So kung ang ibig sabihin nito, mas active yung bata pag non-traditional. Dito sa traditional, passive lang yung process, no? So, mag-fill in the blanks lang si bata or mag-choose lang among the correct answer, yun lang. Ito namang traditional, they will just recall, they will select among the options, as what I have tell you a while ago. Dito naman sa non-traditional, it's critical, evaluative, no? And other higher order thinking skills. Then, define amount of time. So, alam natin kung ilang tawag nito, ilang minutes lang nila dapat answeran to. Usually naman, ang non-traditional is progressive and ongoing. Sometimes, di ba, pag nagbigay tayo ng performance task, hindi yan matatapos in 1 hour. Hindi, sometimes, okay, you continue that at home, you continue that, you try to look for a time to perform that. So, hindi siya masyado define yung time non-traditional assessment. Okay? Then, individual attempt ang traditional assessment kasi ako lang yung mag-a-answer. Di pwedeng pair kami, tapos we will answer the question, tapos dalawa ang amin. We will share the same score. Hindi pwedeng ganun, no? Pero sa non-traditional, it can be individual and it can be collaborative or group, no? Group work. Okay. Then, another thing is, sorry. No self-assessment. No? Kasi nga passive sila sa non-traditional assessment. But in non-traditional students, self-assessment is valued because they are doing a lot of thinking, they're doing a lot of analyzing, they're doing a lot of reflecting pagdating sa non-traditional assessment. So yun ang difference ng dalawa. Okay? I will not emphasize more of that. Alam niyo na yan. Kung gaano kayo kagaling. Okay. After discussing with you the traditional and the non-traditional assessment, ang atin talagang goal here is a balanced assessment program. The teachers are encouraged to provide a balanced learning program with more active students' involvement, interaction, and authentic learning experience. A balanced assessment program to provide accurate evidence of student progress and achievement. Bakit balance? So we will still make use of the traditional assessment. After all, in real life, ito mga batang to, eventually, ang iba dyan magdodoktor, iba dyan mag-i-engineer, ang iba dyan maglo-lawyer, diba? They will take a board exam. Ang board exam, usually, traditional assessment ang ginagamit. Diba? ABCD. So we will still be preparing them for in the future. Kaya, balance assessment tayo. So we will be teaching them testmanship dito pagdating sa traditional assessment. Okay, but the critical thinking, the analyzing, i-charge natin yan sa non-traditional assessment. Okay? When they go to college, diba, they take entrance test. Yung entrance test ba is traditional assessment ang ginagamit. So, expose pa rin natin yung mga bata sa traditional assessment. Okay? Sige. So, why is there a need to do things differently? Okay? There is limitation of traditional method. Ang traditional assessment designed only for remembering facts and concept. But it doesn't mean kung na-remember niya yon or nasabi niya, na-explain niya, it doesn't mean na magagawa niya. So that's the limitation of the traditional. Okay, difficult to determine real capabilities of some students not achieving well in the mainstream. So ang hirap-hirap yan tingnan kung ang ganun. May mga bata na maski tayo, masasabi mo nga sa multiple choice, dili ko kaayo maayo. Pero ipa-perform ra good ko, how would good ko? Diba? Are you realizing things like that? Are you observing that in the field? Na may mga bata na magaling sa performance but not really magaling pagdating sa objective test or theory. Okay? So we will give them the chance to perform also, to also achieve their target. So bibigyan po natin sila ng performance na traditional and non-traditional assessment. Okay? Difficult to assess higher order thinking skill, this is a fact in a paper and pencil test. Unless sobrang galing ang paggagawa mo ng inyong multiple choice. Pero maski magaling ka gumawa ng multiple choice questions, still, there's a limitation in developing higher order thinking skill in a traditional form of assessment. Okay? Kasi ang nakikita mo lang sa bata is the knowledge. Hindi mo actually nabigyan ng bata ang pagkakataon how to perform it. Okay? Kaya nga sa board exam, sa doktor, 'di ba, merong theory, merong practice. Talagang merong yung dalawang aspeto niyan. So we might as well develop the kids using traditional and non-traditional assessment. Pero maayo naman gud sa traditional. So, ang atong i-emphasize gud karon ang non-traditional. Okay? Kasi yun, dyan tayo lumaki . Kaya we have to develop more our skills in providing non-traditional assessment to our kids. Okay, benefit of non-traditional assessment. Masyado na akong makulit. So, develop higher order thinking skills, of course, provide students the opportunity to solve real issues or problem to produce an output which shows that what they can do. So measure different levels of students' knowledge, understanding, skill, attitude, values, and higher order thinking skills. So that summarize, these summarize what I have shared to you a while ago. I will not dwell on that anymore. Okay, so look at this. One activity, nagbigay si teacher ng one activity, but look at the kids performing different kind of assessment. May nagsulat sila, nag-draw sila, nag-present sila, pero isang activity lang yan. Pero hinati-hati siya in different session or different different ways of assessing kids. So they are trying to assess whether ang bata ba kabalo mo hatag og main idea o maghatag og supporting details. Okay, so yun ang lesson nila. But it was, those two competencies were assessed in different manner. Ilang activity yan? Isa lang po. Okay, yun ang ibig sabihin natin. Okay. Points to remember in planning non-traditional assessment: decide what you want to assess, then choose a strategy that will demonstrate it best. Hindi ang strategy na bagay sa kung ano yung gusto mong i-assess. So you have to analyze and to think kung tama ba yung strategy mo for sa objective mo. Okay? So please, when you do observe classes later on, pag wala ng pandemic, when you mentor teacher, when you provide technical assistance, when you review modules, ito yung titingnan natin. Yung games ba, bagay ba dito sa objective niya of the lesson? Itong role-playing ba, bagay ba dito sa objective ng lesson? Hindi po lahat babagay. So, titingnan po natin ang suitability, no? Suitability ng assessment strategy. A range of different assessment strategy will provide more holistic information about the student. So what I have said, you can only give one activity or assessment task, pero there is a range of different assessment strategy. Kagaya nung pinakita ko kanina, no? Isang ano lang, pero madami. Pwede kang, saan ba ako? Okay. Learners need to understand the purpose of assessment tasks, how to complete it, and the assessment criteria. Balik tayo dun sa, hindi lang si teacher ang may alam sa assessment. So sa non-traditional, may active role si bata. Okay? Sa assessment. So dapat alam niya from the very beginning of the lesson how she will be assessed, why she will be assessed, and what would be the assessment would look like. So, include natin yun sa objective natin. Discuss natin na kids will be learning about this because at the end of the lesson, ito yung gagawin natin. So, be ready. So, this what I'm going to discuss with you or to do with you now are the different skills na magamit ninyo later on pag i-perform nyo na ito na activity. So, dapat alam yun ng mga bata. Okay, so example of non-traditional assessment strategies. Ito yung 3 broad types. Performance-based strategy / authentic strategy. Pwede ding portfolios, pwede ding peer and self-assessment strategy. Ngayon, ang pinapagamit ng DepEd sa atin, ito pong performance-based strategy. It should be authentic the strategy. Actually, pwede din natin gamitin ang portfolio. Kasi dito sa portfolio, kids will be given a chance to do self-reflection. No? Bibigyan mo sila ng activity, gagawin nila sa kanilang portfolio, and you will end up questioning why and how, things like that. Okay? So ito pa. Performance-based strategy. Okay, performance-based strategy, ito yung mga real performances like kasi ganito, may gusto akong i-correct sa perception or sa ng mga teachers or even siguro tayo, no? Ang performance-based assessment kasi broad yan siya na title, no? Ang performance-based assessment can be a real performance, a written task, a visual task, a speaking task. So under yan siya lahat sa performance-based assessment. Okay? Kung gusto mo lang magpa-roleplay, yung roleplay lang ang ifo-focus mo, so real performance yan siya. Pero pag sabihin mo na, before sila mag-roleplay, magsusulat muna sila ng script. So ang na-hit mo doon, real performance, saka written task na. Diba? Pagkatapos, paggagawin out of their script, ipagawin ko kaya sila ng comic strip based on their script. Visual tasks na yon. So isa-isa, pinagawa mo sila ng, pinagawa mo sila ng script, then, pa-roleplay mo pa, or before siguro mag-roleplay, pinagawa mo sila ng comic strip out of the script they were asked to do. So visual task yun. Pagkatapos, sabihin mo, you get a portion or na dapat nyong i-role play. So, real performance na yon. So, in one task, 3 na strategies ang nagamit mo. Okay? But this all under performance-based assessment. Okay? Hindi ibig sabihin, wag niyong correct natin yung ating mga sarili. Kasi some na naririnig ko, ito yung performance task. Task can be a performance-based assessment. Okay? I hope I'm clear with that. Sige. Pagalitan niyo ako mamaya pag hindi ko nasabi ng tama. So, visual task, drawing, diagrams, colleges, you have models, dioramas, advertising poster, gallery walk, mga things like that. Yun ang visual task natin. So far, I am clear. Wala na akong audience.
Yes, ma'am.
Kasi wala na.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Then graphic organizer. Very itong graphic organizer, very known ito sa language teaching and even sa reading, correct? Then you have also your oral assessment strategy. You have your debate, retelling. Okay. All this, pwede nyo yung i-combine. Pwede kayo magtatlong performance strategy or performance-based assessment strategy in one activity. In one performance assessment activity. Okay? Ang mga bata hindi mahirapan. They will be only thinking of one assessment. Pero nandun na lahat yung written exam, yung written performance nila, tsaka yung oral performance or whatever kung gusto ninyong i-assess sa kanila. So wag niyo lang i-dichotomize yan. Okay, bigyan niyo lang, ngayon sa pandemic, isa lang. Wala na tayong quarter assessment kasi yung quarter assessment nakahook yun sa written exam no? Yung ginagamit natin, yung ginawa ng division sometimes na paper and pencil test, 'di ba? Yun ang pag sabi nating quarterly exam, yun ang naiisip natin kaagad. 'Di ba? But K-12 is telling us na even the quarterly exam can be a performance task. Okay? Basahin niyo ulit ang DO8, nandun yun. Not necessarily a paper and pencil. Pwede din siyang performance task ang quarterly exam. Okay. But anyway, we are not giving premium sa ngayon sa pandemic on the quarterly exam. So focus lang tayo sa performance task. Kasi totoo naman, yung interim guidelines kasi natin, nakasabi na written exam, tsaka tawag nito, performance task. Yung sa DO8 naman, yung pinakita ko kanina, i-show lang yung pie na yon na ito yung performance task, ito yung written task, just to differentiate the two. Pero it doesn't mean na magbigay ka lang solely for written task. Ito na naman, magbigay ka solely for performance task. Where in fact, pwede mo yan siyang emerge so that we will only have one performance task, no, per quarter. O per unit kung gusto nyo. Or per a chapter kung gusto nyo. Okay? Sige. Let's move. Ito pa. May mga authentic strategies pa tayo for performance task. Pero mahirap ito gawin during our pandemic. Later on, yung ginagawa na ito ng senior high school, may mga community action projects sila. Gumagawa sila ng survey. Later on, pag hindi na pandemic, pwede pa rin itong gawin ng mga sa primary and even sa secondary, no? Itong nakasulat dito, community displays, may mga fundraising for school community, reaction to environment issues, etc., etc. So most of the authentic strategy, take note, tasks can also be categorized as performance tasks. Pag showing of their skills and their knowledge and the content, no? And performance-based na yan siya. By the way, pag sabi mo kasing authentic strategy, paki-take note po ito. Hindi ibig sabihin na pag real situation ang binibigay mo sa bata, automatic yan authentic. ang authentic kasi maraming aspeto na dapat nating i-consider. First is, yes, is it a real life situation? Is it within the level of the kids' interests and reality? Take for example, grade 3. Binigyan mo ng isang assessment na akala mo authentic kasi real life situation naman. Ano ba? Ang mag-grocery ang grade 3, hindi naman ginagawa ng grade 3 pupil yung mag-grocery, di ba? So hindi siya authentic because it's not within the level of the tawag nito, of the children, of the child or the learner. Pwede pa siguro yung not necessarily grocery, pwede pa siguro yung buying in a sari-sari store. Kasi pwede ng grade 3 niyan eh, di ba? But going to the mall and do the grocery, it's not within. So, di ba performance task siya, di ba authentic siya, tingnan natin kasi real life situation. Pero hindi po siya authentic in the sense na hindi siya within the level of interest ng bata. Hindi niya ginagawa yun in real life. Pag sabihin mo naman, ma'am, di magamit niya naman yan pagdating niya sa high school, wag muna. Bigay mo na lang yan dun sa mga batang third year high school or grade 9 ba, grade 10 ba, or grade 6 ba, o pwede yun sa kanila. But for a grade 3, hindi, baby pa sila. So, what kind of performance task ang pwedeng ibigay sa kanila? Yung they actually doing it in real life situation. Para merong yung feeling of I belong because I actually do it. Parang ang feeling ng bata, alam ko to kasi ginagawa ko ito. So that becomes your performance assessment become authentic. Diyan lang natin masasabi na yung performance-based assessment natin is authentic because it is within the level. Remember the ZPD, within the level of the kids. Okay? Malapit na ako matapos. Okay, kagaya nito, no? You have written tasks, visual tasks, graphic organizing, yan. Lahat yan authentic kasi ginagawa yan ng grade 4 or grade 5 student. Pero isang activity lang yan. Maraming strategy ang nagagawa. Okay, so I guess I have to stop here because Dr. Boyles will still be sharing her prepared tawag nito, slide to you. May I tell you that good teacher know how to bring out the best in student. Hindi ito pagalingan ng pagtuturo. Pagalingan ito kung paano mo ma-bring out what is best in the student. Okay? Alam natin magaling na tayo. Magaling na yung mga teachers natin. Nag-graduate nga nag-masters nga Pero ma-test natin whether they are really good teacher if they can bring out the best in their student. We all need people who will give us feedback. That's how we improve. So I hope you have a peer, you have a colleague there that will always by your side to tell you honest feedback in order for you to, to grow and to develop in this profession. Ang hirap-hirap ng profession natin pag nag-iisa lang po tayo. So we need somebody to back us up. We need somebody to give us an honest feedback, whether it's negative, whether basta constructive lang, help us or committed na to help us in our growth. So that's why maski masyadong busy sa division, maraming ginagawa, I always find time to, to prepare the conceptualize this training for the CLMD and for all of us, because I know with each other, being with each other, we learn, we learn a lot. And I hope to see you in the open forum later on. Thank you very much for your indulgence, for your patience, for your tolerance in listening to my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was Dr. Melanie P. Estacio, the Assistant Schools Division Superintendent of Tagum City Division. So thank you very much, Ma'am Mel, for a very clear and comprehensive review and discussion on assessment in the perspective of the K-12 curriculum. And it's really a good way to start the training when we are given a review and a clear interpretation of assessment as mandated in the Department Order 8 series of 2015. And it is also a good reminder that assessment should not just be a theory, but assessment principles should be used in order to achieve desired learning outcomes. So thank you very much, Dr. Mel, and we shall see you later during our open forum. And now we shall continue with our next session. So to continue with the second session, our next speaker is a Master of Arts in Teaching Science, a Doctor of Education major in Educational Management. She is also a UD and K-12 regional trainer. And to talk about the modifications of classroom assessment through DepEd Order number 31 series of 2020, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Hanilyn Boyles, the Education Program Supervisor of Tagum City Division. Good morning, Madam.
My utmost courtesy and respect to our RD, Dr. Alan G. Farnaso, Director for our ARD, Dr. Maria Ines Asuncion, the CLMD, of course, the 11 Division School Superintendents, together with their ASDS, CID and SGOD Chiefs, EPS and PSDSS, and of course, to our teachers and to all the attendees of this training, good morning. Mabuhay! Hello.
Mabuhay.
Indeed, it is a
Mabuhay,
privilege.
Hanilyn.
Good morning, everyone. Indeed, this is a great privilege on my part to be a part of this very significant event, the training for the assessment of the new guidelines, especially with DO 31 series of 2020. May I share to you the slides? Please have a thumbs up if it is visible in your part. Okay na po?
Okay na po, ma'am.
Okay, so let me have the presentation of the modification of classroom assessment through DO 31 series of 2020. Amidst this COVID pandemic, we have several uncertainties, especially in the curriculum implementation of our department. Yet, we have the BECLP, wherein it is on DepEd number 12, series of 2020, the adaptation of BELCP for the school year 2020-2021. And of course, this is also being backed up by DepEd Order series number 31, series of 2020, in the light of BECLCP of COVID-19 public health emergency. So let me share to you some modification and salient point of the classroom assessment through DO 31 series of 2020. Of course, it is originally prepared by the CO with Sir Joseph Tatao, and of course, yours truly presented and enhanced the PowerPoint presentation for the specification, especially for this training. So our session objective, we have only one: revisit the salient points of DepEd Order number 30, series of 2020. We all know that DepEd Order 30, series of 2020 were bounded or are bounded with the 5 principles in assessment. So we have here salient points to discuss how principles of this govern DO 30 of series 31 rather, series of 2020. So we will take the first slice of this principle. So this DO 31 is adopting the principle on assessment that one, assessment should be holistic and authentic in capturing the attainment of most essential learning competency. We all know that this curriculum year is quite challenging in our part. That is why there is what we call the issuance of DepEd Order number 12, series of 2020, with the provision of the most essential learning competency. So in this case, how can we say that assessment should be holistic and authentic? we will be reviewed with the basic learning targets of the three basic things of what makes the assessment holistic. So that is knowing, understanding, and of course, doing. In this time of pandemic, our learners, either different agents, the teaching learning process is facing a great challenge. That is why we teachers, the learners as well, and all the students and the parents should not only dwelling on a specific spectrum of learning, but of course, it should always be transcend from one spectrum to the other, from a simple to a complex understanding. They should also be guided with what we call not only surface learning, but of course, holistic learning in the presence that there is a deep learning from our or to our students, from the basic to a more complex, from a lower order thinking skills up to the capturing of the higher order thinking skills. So take note that to make it more holistic, not only one part or area of our students should be maximized or developed, but rather it should be a holistic from one spectrum to the rest of the spectrum in the teaching learning procedure of our academe. In what way that it could be authentic in capturing the attainment of the MELTs or the most learning competency. So in this case, we should always be adhering to what we call contextualization. Just like in this case, our students should be updated with the different data coming from our LGU, coming to the health professionals, or even to the health agencies wherein they will be updated to what is going on in our environment. Indeed, with that data or with that particular material, they will know, or we will have to give them what are the implications of the situation, what are the solutions that they may able to address or even recommend. And it should always be that authenticity in the assessment should always be relevant to the proper guidelines, relevant to our individual activities and even to our daily needs. So in this case, our students, our teachers, and agents of learning in this time of pandemic should always be looking into worksheets, activity sheets, or even the different performance tasks that is relevant to make it holistic and authentic, that could be of deep understanding and learning among students. So that is one. How about principle number 2? Assessment is integral for understanding student learning and development. We all know that assessment is the heart of the teaching and learning process. It should be the core of technical working in a school, wherein teachers will have to be integral. It should be focusing not only on one aspect on the development of the student, but rather it will improve the outcome, the learning outcome of our student. And as a basis, the student will also enhance their learning process. Okay, shall we have principle number 3? We should also be bounded with a variety of assessment strategies and necessary with formative assessment, taking priority to inform teaching and promote growth and mastery. Do you agree with this? May I see your thumbs up? May I see your with your emoticons? Do you agree with this principle that it's in time of pandemic, a variety of assessment strategy is necessary? In this case, we may know that. Yes, thank you, Mom, for that very comment and also adhering to this principle. Thank you, Mom and Sir. Okay, indeed, we are very truly guided with this. A variety of assessment strategy is necessary in a way that it could be synchronous, it could be asynchronous, or it could be different modality wherein we could address the learning gap. We could address the learning needs of our student. So in this case, we all know that DepEd Order 8 is having a very detailed description on that. Take note that is this time of pandemic, we have less instructional time with our students. That is why teachers should also adhere and be appropriate enough to design whatever activities performance does, that the teachers will really involve and also consider the welfare and the situation of our students with vis-a-vis to the participation of the parents, the guardians, and even us in the DepEd community. Shall we take forward to principle number 4? Assessment and feedback should be a shared responsibility among teachers, learners, and their families. Thumbs up po tayo or clap if we agree. Yes, thank you, Ma'am Alicia Ayoste and the rest who have
Yes, ma'am.
mentioned. Yes, thank you, Ma'am. Thumbs up tayo dito. That assessment and feedback should be a shared responsibility, not only us to teachers, learners, and families, but of course to the DepEd, to the whole family of DepEd. Take note that with this, a collaboration and a shared responsibility between the teachers, us, the main actor for this. But this time of pandemic, we need a hand in hand in order to cascade and deliver well our teaching and learning practices. So in the context, we know that in the normal scenario, we teachers, the teachers are the main actor. But this time, we need a shared responsibility for the learners with our parents, their guardians, even the LGUs. And we have even the CLMD, the CID, the different functional divisions, and even the DepEd Central Office are very much collaborating in order to make this visible, in order to make it authentic, and able to make it a very practical way of delivering teaching learning for our students. So thumbs up tayo dyan, ma'am and sir, because we all know that we are all agents of the teaching learning process in this new normal in this pandemic time. Okay, and lastly, for the principal, I think we have assessment and grading should have a positive impact on learning. So as we always try to convince our learners that we are all doing our responsibility, we are doing our individual task and assignment in order to foster a positive attitude towards learning, towards getting a greater heights for our students amidst this time of pandemic. So in case walang iwanan, even we are in the time of pandemic, we as teachers as agents of learning and teaching process, we need to impose or even encourage our students na patuloy lang in the teaching learning process because indeed they are the main clientele in this era. Okay, shall we have with the principles? So it is justified that we have the 5 basic principles that again, it should be holistic, authentic. It should also be in a way that integral. A variety of assessment strategy is necessary, and assessment and feedback is very much in a shared responsibility. And of course, we will have to impose a positive impact to our students. Knowing all of these principles, teachers, and of course with school leaders, we may able to achieve a very desired outcome. So it is really a very good attitude for us to have this principle and guided with this so that we all know that with these 5 principles that we have known earlier will give us into a greater heights and will have to give desired outcomes. So what are the desired outcomes as stipulated in this DepEd order? First, to ensure that all learners are fairly assessed and graded in the continuation of education during this health crisis. Of course, we all know that we agents of teaching learning process, the learners is our main actor. The learners is our main character in this pandemic. So although we are having this kind of challenging or challenges in this time of pandemic, we teachers will also be considerate enough for them to assess, for us to assess them and grade them in the continuation of education. That is why we will have to fit in all our activities, performance tasks, assessment strategies in order to cater also the need of our student. Aside from that, we will also have to address whatever things, and we are there backing up in order to make their experience a very memorable one, even we are in the challenging time. We also having a desired outcome second, to emphasize that learning standard shall be attained with the provision of reasonable leniency and consideration for possible difficulties met by the learner. So we all know that we are bounded not only by the principles, but of course with the most essential learning competencies. So we will have to ensure that we will not try to have a certain material or activity which is out of context with the MEL, just like for the different subject areas that we are having. So we always ensure that with regards to the most essential learning competencies, with vis-a-vis with the time constraint, with our less instruction time with our students, but we will not hamper one of the desired outcome of this activity or of our activities, or shall we say performance tasks, should be all aligned in addressing the learning standards of DepEd. So that is our main objective of this pandemic time. So we will ensure that all learners are fairly assessed, of course, with our teacher professional judgment. And of course, we will not hamper the learning standards that our students need to be learned, that our students need to be assessed with all the activities and performance tasks that we are giving in. Okay pa ba tayo dyan? Okay, so we mentioned that in the previous slide that it is really a great responsibility, a shared responsibility among stakeholders, parents, teachers, learners, and of course us, DepEd family. So we will have to go one by one. What are really our individual tasks in delivering the teaching process in this time of pandemic? So these are said to be the salient point of DO31 series of 2020, highlighting the shared responsibility of the teachers, the learners, the stakeholders, the parents, the guardians, and of course, the DepEd community. So first, we will have to hear or have assessment, a shared responsibility as teachers. So for teachers in the new normal, we are said to be the agent, the catalyst in teaching learning of our students. So what are our great role for this? So as teachers, we will be reminded that one, we have actually 5 very basic individual tasks in this time of pandemic. So first, we will design assessment to allow for flexibility in multiple modalities. We are so certain and we are so happy that amidst this pandemic, teachers, SDOs, and DepEd family is very innovative to have these different modalities and catering the needs of our students. So we have the module, we have the TBI, RBI as our supplementary modality. We have also our online, we have the synchronous and asynchronous instruction that all delivered to our students in order to deliver and give our functional activity as the key player in the teaching learning process. So first, as teachers, we will design assessment to allow for flexibility. So we will not only look into one modality, but rather we will also be considerate enough with what is the situation, what is the current mental state of our student, especially that they are the one who are said to be the one affected with this pandemic. Okay, second, Communicate to learners and parents, guardians, the design and standards for grading the assessment. Take note that with this as teachers, we should always explicitly communicate to our learners, especially to the parents and the guardians, because in this pandemic, they play a key role in the teaching, especially in answering the module, in answering the different tasks. So parents and teachers should always communicate in order they will know saan lang sila banda in answering the module, in designing, or even giving, or shall we say collecting, or shall we say we can have it in the delivery of the material. So dapat alam ni teacher, especially with the parent, saan lang sila banda. Is it that they are the one that they are answering the module? Of course, they always be the guide on the side. Maybe they could be a sage on the stage, but appropriately, parents and guardians this time will be a guide on the side. So that is a very good tandem and shared responsibility among the teachers and parents and guardians. Okay, the third one is set up mechanisms to monitor and record progress remotely. So take note that we teachers or the agents of the teaching learning, not only giving them activities, worksheets, but of course, we will also have to set up mechanism, especially in this time of pandemic, that it's very hard to monitor, but of course, with the innovation, with the leadership style, with the management style of each SDOs, the CLMD, and the DepEd community, we may able to track and monitor the progress of our students. We may monitor or we may utilize our monitoring tool in, of course, with the advantage or to the advantage of our students or to the learner. It could be a journal, it could be a portfolio, it could be a monitoring tool wherein we can record the progress remotely of our student in a daily, weekly, or even in a monthly basis wherein we can even address the need of our students. So okay ba tayo dyan, mga ma'am and sir? That we will have to set up mechanism to monitor and record progress. Again, thumbs up naman tayo dyan. And a peer sign. Okay, let me move forward. Giving timely, constructive, and relevant feedback. So in this case, feedbacking is a very essential part. It is a very vital aspect of our assessment practices. Take note that it comprises a lot of part or an essential part because feedbacking and giving constructive recommendation to our students is very vital and essential because that would develop them and encourage them to move forward and to continue studying and learning amidst this time of pandemic. Okay, next we have facilitating remediation for learners who need further guidance. Of course, as we, the teachers, the learners, and of course the school leaders, we may able to give a recommendation for our learners, especially in dealing with their activities, performance tasks. That is why we need to communicate well. What are the things that they should know? We should know their strength, their weaknesses that could be a springboard for us to give a certain recommendation, suggestion, and remediation in order also to elevate the learning status of our students. Of course, how about for learners? So, hindi lang si teachers yung may great role in this pandemic. Of course, we teachers and the learners are said to be having a very vast role in this pandemic. Kasi sila naman po yung may greater, shall we say, they are the main character for this. So what is assessment? A shared responsibility to learners. So first, they are expected to be proactive in updating their teacher of their situation, progress, and challenges encountered. So proactive in the sense that they have a very open communication with the teacher, how they feel, how they try to address the difficulty that they are having, especially in dealing and answering the module, in connecting with the internet if they have the online. It could be synchronous or asynchronous. So they should always update the teacher. Also, encourage them having a positive attitude in dealing and doing their task. It could be in written works or in performance tasks. Aside from that, they may accomplish the non-mandatory self-monitoring tool independently or with the assistance of their parent and guardian. If you will go over with DepEd Order 31, Series of 2020, Annex E, you can see there non-mandatory self-monitoring tool. We have there for A, okay, that is need to be accomplished by the learner. So ano ba yung mga, there are I think 3 questions. For B, there is the template for the guardian or the parent to accomplish. And for letter C, for Annex E, they have there for the teachers, the recommendations, and even they can give suggestions. They can also give remediation for that. So for this, we all know that different SDOs having this kind of non-mandatory self-monitoring tool. It is a tool also of capturing and even tracing our students to what extent they have learned, to what extent they have the capacity, and they have also ensuring that amidst this difficulty, we are there as teachers and agent of the learning process to back them up in order for them to go ahead and move forward. Okay, we are on the third one, assessment, a shared responsibility for parents and guardians. So in this case, they should communicate with the teacher to give updates on the child's situation, progress, and challenges encountered. So in this case of pandemic, teacher and parents should have an open communication, should have a strong linkage for the sake of our student. So it is the parent, it is the guardian, which acts as a second teacher, or shall we say, the second key role, having the role in this pandemic. So they should communicate what are the updates, to what extent they have already answered the module. Module 1 pa ba? Module 2, 3? Or what are the difficulties that the students are facing? What are the things that they can extend? So maybe in this case, the teacher and the parents should really have a hand-in-hand working for the progress and also to elevate and even address the challenges encountered by the student. So in this case, parents, teachers really play a key role in this scenario. Of course, guide their children in accomplishing the assessment task and or monitoring tools designed by the teacher. So take note, guide their children. They are not the one who will answer the assessment task or even the performance task or the written task sent by the teacher. So, of course, again, I would like to reiterate that let our parents know and the guardians that this time they are really doing a guide on the side with the learners and with their school children. So in this case, we all know that assessment and the teaching learning process could be in an elevated state with the different material, with the different cooperation, and the key word there is collaboration among the teachers, the learners, the parents, the stakeholders, and the whole DepEd community. So here we are for the planning assessment. So I know that this is very well explained in DepEd Order 31, Series of 2020. I will just give a bird's eye view on this. Okay, so assessment activities. So it is very important and essential that in planning the assessment activities, it should be well planned. Okay, so assessment activities must be made in the best interest of our learners. So we all know that alignment with the most essential learning competencies, we always consider this. That is why the SDOs and all the EPs and the PSDS are joining hand in hand always to deliver that the most essential learning competence will be taken good care to our students. Of course, assessment should always be reliable, valid, and transparent. That is why a collaboration in the making of assessment of different functionalities or of different sections is of great help. Planning should always, or assessments activity should always be fair, inclusive, and equitable. Especially in this time of pandemic, we all know that it's quite challenging. That is why as teachers, as school heads, educational leaders, we should take note that our learners is our key player here. That is why we need to plan out our assessment in a way that it is fair to the situation in this time of pandemic. Nothing will be left behind. It is inclusive and equitable in all area. Next are practical and manageable for both learners and teachers. So there's an assumption that to be taken asynchronously with open access to various sources. So we all know that in dealing or planning the assessment this time, we should always take note that it would be practical. It is there is a remarkable implication in the scenario that we are having in. Planning assessment activity that would also give learners a range of ways to demonstrate their learning. So that is why we will make it in a way holistic and authentic. Provide time and accurate information as basis for feedback. So we all know that giving feedback recommendation is of great help, especially in dealing with the different activities and performance of our students. Okay, how do I know if a child is learning? So I think the previous speaker already mentioned about formative and summative assessment. So we all know that formative assessment, I would like to review only. It is assessment for learning. So in DO 31 series of 2020, we are highlighting the formative assessment in this period. So we will giving a great time and impact to the implication of giving a well-planned summative or formative assessment to our student. Take note that through this, as a student or for as teacher, it is a process that involves teacher using evidence about what learners know and can do to inform and improve their teaching. So in this case, as teachers, we will have to design our activity in a way that we may able to improve and inform our students what are those learning gaps or learning competency that they should know. And for the students or for the teachers immediate feedback is of great help. That is why we will have to entail a lot of time in dwelling to formative assessment, especially in this time of pandemic. So that is one of the salient point of DO 31 series of 2020, giving much emphasis and shall we have giving much time in crafting, designing a well-planned formative assessment vis-a-vis for our most essential learning competencies. So, for summative assessment, of course, it is also one of the vital key point for this DepEd order that usually administered toward the end of learning period to measure the extent to which the learners have mastered the essential learning competencies. So we call it assessment of learning. It could be done written works or performance task. So these are said to be some of the very key points in written works. We have to assess essential knowledge and understanding through quizzes, long tests, or unit tests. So to be composed of items distributed according or across the cognitive process dimension, DO8 Series 2015, that is page 4, using a combination of selected response and constructed response format. So we all know what are the guidelines, what are the templates in crafting and making of a very well-planned written work. For the performance task, we will allow learners to show what they know and are able to do in their diverse ways. So may include products or performances, including demonstration, group presentation, oral work, multimedia presentation, and research project. We may also include, according to McThigh and Wiggins with the UBD design, the use of GRASP, wherein G stands for the goal, R for the role, A for the audience, S for the situation, P for the performance, and S for the standards. And in this case, our standard here is the most essential learning competencies. Anyway, in the performance task, we may include also written outputs, still subjected to the teacher professional judgment. So here, one of the highlighted feature of DO31 is expressing and giving us the highlight that teachers must exercise professional judgment in carrying out the different assessment strategies, providing opportunities for learners to practice and redo their work, can reach their learning targets with the least amount of pressure. So take note, the word is professional judgment. Agree pa tayo dito, mga ma'am and sir? Appear naman tayo, or we can have the approved sign. Yes? May I hear? Agree ba tayo dito sa teacher professional judgment? Okay. Thank you, ma'am and sir. So, in this case, we all know that we need a lot of patience, a lot of consideration to our students in the time of pandemic. Take note that when we properly assess, we properly deliver, and we properly do our learning practices, we know that with proper remediation, suggestion, and open communication with our student, we may able to say that learning in this time of pandemic is very possible. Take note that once our students may able to learn in this time of pandemic, we can say that we have a one big leap over the COVID-19. It is very possible with the collaboration of all the stakeholders and all the agents of education in this time of pandemic. So again, teachers' professional judgment is very essential, is very encouraged in this time of pandemic. A great consideration, a great patience for our learning, or learners rather, could be of great help, especially in the continuation of their education. So, take note that in teacher professional judgment, just to add on, insightful decisions informed by professional knowledge of curriculum, expectation, context, evidence of learning, methods of instruction and assessment, and the criteria and standard that indicate success in student learning. Take note that with giving such decision with the different activities and matters at hand, we should also be considerate of the situation of the scenario wherein our students may learn a lot and we can deliver effectively the teaching learning process. And of course, vis-a-vis that we will not hamper the most essential learning competencies. So, considering the formative assessment and the summative assessment, that the teacher should set realistic expectation and use their professional judgment to find a good balance between what is effective, what is feasible to accomplish remotely. That is why we will design our activities, our assessment in a way that it is practical, it is attainable, it is reachable, and it could be of great learning to our student. So here, these are the ways to conduct assessment remotely. So I will just give it a overview, objectives of the assessment task. We should also adhere to the roles of learners and parents and guardians, and the procedure and expected timeline. And of course, we will always go over with the standard and rubrics. That is why we will also consult our learners when necessary, or even the parents and guardians, to allow room for adjustment and flexibilities needed if any, because we also try to consider their situation, the scenario that we are in. So including here, as I mentioned, self-monitoring tool, check-ins of teacher with learner, and evidences of learner in the student's learning portfolio. So in a way, it is very viable that we can even conduct assessment remotely. Okay, how about giving feedback? Is it necessary in this time of pandemic? Okay, so to benefit student learning, both formative and summative assessment must be accompanied with timely, constructive, and meaningful feedback. We have discussed this with the earlier slides, that feedbacking and giving of recommendation and suggestion to our learners could be of great help in this time of pandemic. Of course, for the remediation, consistent with DO8 Series 2015, teachers should ensure that learners receive remediation when they earn raw scores which are consistently below expectation summative assessment by the 5th week of any quarter. So this will prevent a student from failing any learning area at the end of the year. So we all know that it is stated well in this DepEd Order 8 and even given a enhancement or justification in DO 31. So as teachers, we should always try to see that or track the progress of our student, that in a way, as what I have said and what is recommended this time of pandemic, that we will have to practice teacher professional judgment. So in a way, I think these are said to be the very salient point of DO 31 series of 2020 that can give justification and can also give shedding light to the pandemic that we are facing. And as I've always said, Nathaniel Brandon, the first step towards change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. So we will accept the challenge, the pandemic that we are facing now, and we should always be a catalyst of that change. Once again, good morning, everyone.
Thank you very much. And that was Dr. Hanilyn Boyles, the Education Program Supervisor of Tagum City Division. Thank you very much, ma'am, for emphasizing to us the highlight of DepEd Order number 31, series of 2020, and that is a teacher's professional judgment, which is very important in carrying out assessments, especially during this time of pandemic, where face-to-face instruction is very impossible. So thank you very much, Ma'am Hanilyn. See you in a while, ma'am, for the open forum. Before continuing, we have a reminder here or an announcement. So we have two groups of participants. Some of our participants are here in Zoom platform, and these are the 130 identified participants. And we also have more than 1,000 of participants who are watching us live via the YouTube channel of the CLMD DepEd Region 11. So this is a reminder that we are going to flash a link for the attendance of our participants who are watching via the YouTube channel. This attendance link is also the link wherein you are going to submit your output. So, Ma'am Luj, okay, I think it is already flashed on your screen. And again, this is the attendance link, and at the same time, the output link, which will be used by our guest visitors who are watching via the YouTube channel. Thank you very much. And now we are ready, we are already done with our morning session. So we will now move on to our open forum, and our speakers are on standby to answer our questions. So reminder, during the open forum, again, you may use the chat box to key in your questions, or you may click the raise your hand icon to be acknowledged and read your question. You may turn on your camera when raising your question. And please identify identify the speaker to whom you would like to address the question. And when raising your question, mind your time and consider others who will also be asking questions. Respect others and their opinion. Pick the right tone. Brevity is best, so stick to the point. So if you have your questions, you can now key in your questions or you can raise your hand to ask the question.
Ma'am Del?
Yes, ma'am. Is this ma'am?
Yes, Ma'am Honey.
Yes, Ma'am Honey.
Shall I proceed to the next? I still have performance-based assessment through the lens of 21st century skills.
Okay, sorry. I thought that was the end of the session. Okay, ma'am. So let's proceed with the session, with the continuation of the session of Ma'am Hanilin. Sorry, Ma'am Hanilin, for the interruption.
Okay na, Ma'am Del?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Proceed,
can
ma'am.
share screen? Is it okay na?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes, Ma'am Lou. Thank you. So, I'm back. So, let me discuss to you the performance-based assessment through the lens of the 21st century skills. So, this time we will have to see to it, or shall we say, how performance-based assessment can develop the 21st century skills cited or even audited by the ACT-RC and even with the DepEd Central Office and of course with the cooperation with UNICEF Philippines. This is actually one of the research project that we have participated last 2019 with the different regions, actually region 11, we have also region 8. Only selected regions are said to be the participants of this. There's also an on-site observation of classroom teachers in science. We have also in English in order to address and audit the skills of the 21st century. So let me share to you what are the things or how this performance-based assessment vis-a-vis or through the lens of the 21st century skills. So the session objective, present how performance-based assessment can develop 21st century skills among learners. So it is a research study finished and furbished with the help of ACT-RC, or the Australian Council for Research Center based on Australia. And of course, we have also the DepEd and UNICEF for the unification and collaboration with this. So let's go back first with the assessment in the Philippines. Traditionally, in the Philippines, reporting of student learning has focused on achievement levels through assignment of letter grades and scores. However, one of the goals of the revised education system is to produce holistically developed Filipinos who have 21st century skills, who are prepared for further education, employment, or entrepreneurship. DepEd 2017. Therefore, appropriate assessment strategies and activities need to implement to support the teaching and development of skills and competency in students. So let me present to you the slide on the, if you may see, there are only 3 21st century skills mentioned or cited in the slide or in the aspect. Okay, we have the ACT-RC or the UNICEF and DepEd only focus on the 3, although we all know that there are many 21st century skills. But based on the skill audit that we have last 2019 with DepEd Central Office, with the ACT-RC, with the UP people, we only have the first 3. So we have critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, and of course, critical thinking, collaboration, and we have problem solving. So these are the three key 21st century skills audited by ACT-RC, by ACER, and DepEd during their classroom observation. So may nangyari talaga na classroom observation for Region 8, Region 12, or 11 rather, in science and English subject in order to audit what are really the 21st century as practiced in the field. So these are the developing 21st century skills. So when assessment rules out learning activities on student, therefore a well-planned performance-based assessment triggers not only the development of 21st century skill such as critical thinking, collaboration, problem solving, but of course also a deeper and realistic and authentic learning. So having students play an active role in the assessment process, it is said to be distinctive for two reasons. So first, assessment process itself helps students develop critical thinking and analysis skills. So in this case, students would assess or student who assess themselves are learning at the same time improving their cognitive skills while assessment is happening. So for example, in our classroom, students are often asked to reflect on what they know before, during, and after a particular lesson, inviting them not only to chart a course for the progress they want, but to make also to understand what they already bring to the classroom. So in this scenario, before the lesson begins, they are exercising tone that would develop an academic mindset. So which prepares them to develop not only what they are learning, but how they are learning it. So these skills will enhance their ability to learn, not only to learn, but rather to adapt and grow in the future classroom as well as in career and life settings. So number two role of this is this process also helps students internalize the knowledge, turning what and how they learn in a well of resources they can use in the future. So for example, when students assess their own work, when they identify own strength and weaknesses, the likelihood that they will do better next time is quite greater. So in this case, this is very true. Of course, for everyone, not just only for our students, but also as DepEd people. When our goals come from inside, rather than being imposed from external source, we are more likely to want, in this case, likely to own them and work harder to achieve them. So this is a very great honor that we are giving the time that as agent of education, we teachers will not only develop our master competency, but of course, considering the development of the 21st century skill, and that is through the assessment that we are crafting. And it is also well explained and well cited by Lens 2021 on how assessment can develop deeper learning and understanding and developing the 21st century skill. So we will take into the problem solving, the first 21st century that we may able to adopt or let our students master. So problem solving, collaboration, and critical thinking. So later, I will give to you what are the suggested tasks as what is the outcome of our conference, the suggested tasks for the classroom, and what are the desired tasks that we need to adopt and we will have to employ in order to address and master this competency. So take note that in problem solving, a problem occurs when in any given context, a goal state needs to be reached and there is no routine method of solution available. That is according to Mayer 2003. The problem solving also refer to any goal-directed sequence of cognitive operation where human problem solvers construct a mental representation of the problem. So that is doing activity manipulation of the problem space. So that is also Jonassen 2000. Take note that establishing a representation of problem followed by the implementation of the solution is very desirable, according to Novick and Basso 2005. So we all know that addressing the problem-solving activity or giving a problem-solving skill could develop analytical and a very decisive way that our student can have a solution to a problem. So we have here the different strand. Okay, the strand here needs for our teachers as well as for our students to reconsider in order that the skill framework is addressed in having a problem solving mastery skill. So problem analysis, we have planning, executing, and monitoring. So these are the following description for this. So for problem analysis, we will identify the problem. So we will ensure that by giving tasks that our student may able to identify the problem, that is also one way that they can master the problem solving skill, and that ensures that it includes planning, executing, and monitoring. So I will not give detail onto the description because it is already well faced in the PowerPoint presentation. Later, I will give to you the different research outcomes of the problem-solving expected classroom scenarios. So in addition of the definition of the 21st century skill, here are the several skill framework used in the assessment. Okay, so what are the suggested classroom scenarios based on the research outcome and output of the conference? So to address and have the problem-solving skill mastery of our student, it is expected that as teachers, as designers of our assessment, we will provide a scenario and allow the learners to identify the problem or issue. We will have to induce and give a thought-provoking question to elicit prior knowledge and experience related to the problem or issue. Then we will have the learners analyze the problem by breaking down information and take note. It includes brainstorming on possible solution and even testing of practicability and strength of the proposed solution. So out of the conference, the ACT-RC and the DepEd key official able to have this kind of expected scenarios wherein it could be a good avenue that our student may elicit or may master a 21st century, specifically a problem-solving skill. Other additional activity, the use of or the giving of projects, graphic organizers, just like a Freyer model. One could be a very potential source or activity or material in coming out the mastery of problem-solving skill. Of course, the forum. We can have the forum that can initialize the problem-solving skill of our student. The very basic or the very popular research and investigatory project. Ideals model. What is this ideals model? That is according to Function 2007. That I stands for identify the problem. So what is really the real question that we are facing, especially in this time of pandemic? So we can even contextualize and localize our material. How about the D in ideals model by Function 2007? We will define the context. So what are the facts that frame up or frame this problem? How about the E? So we will have to maybe enumerate the choices. So what are the plausible options, solutions, and recommendations? And A for ideals model, we have to analyze the option. What is the best course of the action in dealing with the problem? And L, we have what we will list reasons of explicitity for clearness and justification. What is the best course of action? And of course, the S for the ideals model is we will self-evaluate, we will self-correct, look at it again, and what did we miss. So these are only the suggested activity, suggested model, and practices that we may able to employ in our localized and contextualized classroom setting, especially in this time of pandemic. So this problem solving technique would greatly guide our students through the critical thinking process and able to utilize learners collaboration. So hindi lang po problem solving, but rather it intertwines in developing critical thinking and collaboration among the students. So simulation games and non-routine problems are also some of the suggested activities to cater and master the problem-solving skill, one of the basic 21st century skill. Next is collaboration that according to Wood and Gray 1991, it is or it refers to the capacity of an individual to effectively participate in a group and actively engage. Most basically, we interchange the word cooperation and collaboration. That is also with the dilemma with this kind of word. But when we say collaboration, it is a more higher or deeper sense than cooperation. Because in collaboration, as a group, as a team member or a key player of the group, we should know our goals, we should know our vision and mission, and at the same time, we are working hand in hand in order to reach that goal. And that we could say that collaboration is very explicit in our classroom environment. So collaboration is distinct from other terms, and we often interchangeably have it as group work. But not all group work are said to be mastering the competency or the skill as collaboration. So again, collaboration is said to be a style for direct interaction of different parties, knowing, identifying the goals and mission, and reaching towards that goal and mission for accomplishment. So in this case, there are several strands of having collaboration. So if we know the strand here as teachers, as personnel, as key players, we should also bear in mind those strands and the different activity that we may know that collaboration is surfaced in our classroom level or our teaching learning scenario. So research-based, according sa ACT-RC DepEd po. So here are the suggested classroom activities in order that collaboration will ensure in classroom. Learner choose and work on specific roles. So as we all know, role playing could be that of a very tangible example that collaboration will be ensured in the academic setting. Learners formulate rubrics and emphasize inclusion of proper collaboration. That is why rubrics are not only designed by the teachers, but of course, it should also be done collaboratively. Learners serve as process observers, monitoring, intervention, and redirection, and the valuing of constructive criticism and the application of norms that include openness, respect, and value for contribution. So not only a part and parcel that we are doing our activities, we are doing our role, but of course with the monitoring, evaluation, or even with the feedbacking and recommendation as a group, as a teamwork, we could say that collaboration is very visible. So here are some suggested activities. We have group differentiated tasks. We can also employ debates, story creation. We can have role play. That is a very good and a tangible example. Operation. Think, pair, and share. Brainstorming. We can have projects. It could be online or offline. And we can even apply the ideals model that I have mentioned a while ago. And of course, collaborative and educational game is one of the research expected classroom scenario and suggested activities. We are here on the last, critical thinking. It's very easy to say that critical thinking is mastered by our student, but in the strong note, critical thinking involves coming to conclusion based on a recent process such as Sternberg 1986. In general, critical thinking can be taught. However, personal disposition and character attributes such as open-mindedness, inquisitiveness, and flexibility additionally contribute in the mastery of the skill. So here are the skill framework. So ito yung mga dapat natin tandaan. Could say that critical thinking is being mastered, is being delivered in our expected classroom scenario. So hindi ko na po isa-isahin. Anyway, it is well documented and as part of the output of the different conferences and group activity during the ACT-RC DepEd collaboration. So here are the different research outcomes for critical thinking. So what are the expected classroom scenarios wherein critical thinking may be of help? So use of HATS question to stimulate critical thinking, the higher order thinking skills, incorporate contextualized real life application resources in the lesson. We will apply discovery approach, conduct guided classroom discussion, and of course, giving students independence on what they are doing. Of course, we always try to have those activity that we as teachers are really a guide on the side of our students. So these are all guided classroom discussion, classroom activities. It could be an FGD, it could be a in-depth interview, so we can have a different or a varied teaching and assessment strategy. Here are also some suggested activities such as developmental questioning. We may also employ probing question. So example, we have a scenario that we will have to discuss, and then we will have to give a follow-up question, and we have that probing questions. One of the basic example in doing that is video analysis. So with a video presentation, we may post guide question for our student, a previewing, a post-viewing questions for our student to think critically. And in that way, we are giving and addressing the mastery of this 21st century skill. We may also have a gallery walk. We may have the debate. We can have write-ups, just like giving or taking into the scenario, just like in this pandemic. And writing a very essential essays could be one. We can have textual analysis, a peer assessment, the ideals model, and of course, we can also have projects and problem-solving activities. So, although we are limited with the different 21st century skills, but hopefully the expected classroom scenarios and the suggested activities that we are giving in and one of the results of the research-based collaboration of DepEd, UNICEF, the ACT-RC, and the University of the Philippines may be help to you as we address our challenging times in this pandemic. So I think I give justice on delivering the topic, and once and all, let me say, learning is a lifetime process, but there comes a time when we must stop adding and start updating. So keep yourself updated with the different processes, with the different guidelines set by DepEd and with our stakeholders. And we can say that we have a great leap in this time of pandemic. Once and all, good morning and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much once again, Dr. Hanilyn Boyles, for your session. And so that ends our session, 2 sessions for this morning. Before we are going to proceed to our open forum, we are going to flash a link, and that is for our evaluation link. So our participants from the Zoom and those who are watching us live via YouTube, you can access the link or the evaluation link. So shall we proceed to our open forum, our
form sa
speakers?
dili wa na siya ingon na lain ng form kadto yung revised form sa SCD.
We
No,
would
some color
also
cannot.
like to request our participants to please turn off their microphone so that we can proceed to our open forum. Thank you very much. And so, are there questions? You can use the chat box for your question, or you can raise your hand. Anyone who would like to ask a question?
Ginutom yata natin yung mga participants, wala ng tao.
We still have 74 participants, Mamel, who are with us right now. I don't know if they have questions. Can anyone who would like to ask question? Any of the participants?
It's either you understand what we have shared, or you did not understand at all.
But I think, Mamel, the discussions really were clear because they were just a review of the existing DepEd orders on assessment. So I think they are reserving their questions for the next 2 days, because our speakers will be discussing assessment in the context of what teachers are doing right now in their classrooms. So how are they going to assess in the DFE? So parang that is what I am thinking right now, because the 2 sessions really, ma'am, were clear and comprehensive.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can we hear from our professors from the different CID groups in our different divisions? So far, wala na. Okay, but anyway, we still have a lot of things to discuss tomorrow. It will be more specific. It will be more in details. We kindly take note, because after this sharing of the different topics, you have something to do. You will be given a task for as your output for this webinar. So hindi lang po ito pakikinig lang, simply na passive ang participants. You will be given a task later on per subject area. That's why we have a different classroom where you go into. It is divided into different categories, different subject areas. So gagawa po tayo, no? Gagawa po tayo ng performance task assessment. So each of the division, each of the subject area division will be given a task for what to do. Kasi the regional office is coming up with a database of all this performance-based assessment tasks na po pwede natin gamitin. So, irrelevant muna ngayon yung mga multiple choice natin, yung item development natin, because we cannot use that during pandemic. So, we are looking into another year of ganitong modality. So, we might as well have a data bank of all the performance tasks na gagamitin natin. And it is good that we are leveling off our understanding when it comes to how to give performance task-based assessment to our kids. And how can we simplify this since we are not meeting them face-to-face. Okay? So, meron tayong dalawa chat natin, Ma'am Debs.
Oo, Ma'am Mel, we would like to ask Ma'am Alicia Ayoste if she is raising her hand. Ma'am Alicia Ayoste, are you raising your hand, ma'am? Okay,
wala na
there is no
siguro.
sign from ma'am.
Merong hello, Ma'am Johanny.
Yeah.
Yeah, may message si Ma'am. Can you read that, Ma'am Debs?
Yes. So these are some of the feedback that we got from our participants, Ma'am Mel. So from Ma'am Joanny, ako po kami, no questions for me. Everything is comprehensive. Comprehensively explained po. Thank you, Ma'am Mel and Ma'am Hani. And also from the CID section, thank you very much. And I have no question. Congratulations to the team. So congratulations, Ma'am Mel and Ma'am Hani.
Oh, thank you very much for giving us the energy to prepare more for everyone for tomorrow's session. So tomorrow you will be facilitated, or you will be guided through our assessment journey with Dr. Tito Endrina and Dr. Jerv Salinas of Digos City. So, talaga magtatrabaho tayo bukas. Ngayon, easy-easy lang. Ganun talaga. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So on
Ma'am
behalf
Honey,
of
thank you very much.
Ma'am Honey, would you like to say something before we leave?
Hello po. Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mamel. Of course, my SDS, Dr. Josephine El Fadul, and the rest of the training team. Of course, the regional office, Dr. Farnaso, Ma'am Ines Asuncion, and the CLMD for giving this opportunity to share what I have also attended and have as the output. So thank you also for sending me for the for that Regional 11 kasi selected lang po yun. So thank you for giving me the avenue to share also the output of that research and collaboration with the Australian Council for Research Institute. Thank you po, and always a service to Region 11.
Mamel, may pahabol na question. Is it okay? I think this comes from from our YouTube viewers. The question is, what is your opinion on students who are still unwilling to work for academic follow-ups and remediations?
Again, I did not get the first, parang
the question.
Okay, go ahead, Deb.
So the question is, what is your opinion or suggestion on students who are still unwilling to work for academic follow-ups and remediation? So no matter what, how many follow-ups daw?
First and foremost, I would like to re-emphasize what I have shared a while ago with you. We need to review the different modules, no, yung binibigyan natin sa bata. Is it within their interest? Is it within their level? Baka nawawalan sila ng interest because they cannot answer the question on themselves, no? Kasi nga, we cannot assure that every child has a parents to guide, every child has a guardian to guide. Most of them, no, I can see and I can visualize na on their own sila. So perhaps we can begin by looking into the different activities that we are giving them. Sakto ba? Akma ba? Is it parallel? Is it suited ba sa kanilang interest, sa kanilang level? I know our module is generic, true to all, pero itong mga batang ito, they really need our focus, our attention. You mentioned that they don't like remediation, pero titingnan natin kung yung remediation ba, natutuwa ba sila doon sa mga binibigay natin na activities. Okay. First, yun na munang masuggest ko. Let's review the activities. Pag medyo nakikita nyong not within their level, kindly adjust it. The downsize, and at the same time, yung level, ibababa muna natin until we gain their interest. No? Dahan-dahan lang. Wag natin silang i-force kaagad mag-learn, hindi natin sila i-force na ma-develop kaagad yung interest nila. But let us go down where they are. Kung yun lang muna yung kaya nila. For example, sa module, we are giving them 3 activities at the same time. Sa kanya siguro, kasi hindi sila nagre-respond masyado and they lack interest or focus, siguro i-downsize na lang muna natin yung mga activities nila into 1 or 2. And after that, that's the time na i-developing lang. I-develop lang natin. Or ang approach natin would be developmental. Okay, so next naman na bibigyan naman natin. What I'm saying here is it's quite difficult because sometimes we have to contextualize, kumbaga ibabagay, isisuit natin, i-tailored cut natin sa interest ng bata. I know there are some of them, no, nawawala ng interest kasi itong mga bata, itong mga mga extrovert, no, ma-extrovert ito. And they want action, they want to be outside. Ngayon, tinulong natin sila to answer this module. So siguro, ang activity na bibigay natin sa kanila, it's more of the kinesthetic type of activity. Para we will be triggering their interest. Rather than answering the 1 to 10 question in our module. So sa remediation natin, yun lang muna ang ibibigay natin. Yung where they can really do or they can move their body, they can release their energy, those type of activities ay ibibigay natin until we gain their interest, until maka-level off na sila with other learners. But we really need to be very patient to this kind of learners. Iba sila. But if we really mean to help them, so we should know where they are at saka sundan lang muna natin sila. In a month time, ma-revive natin yung interest nila, I'm sure. Kasi the way they learn, hindi akma sa module na binibigay natin. Kasi yung module, di ba, they will just be sitting down, answering question, then answer 1 to 10 activity, 1 to 5 exercises. Ito yung sila mga batang kinesthetic, as what I have said, mga extroverto, gusto ng action. So, use their kinesthetic type of learning. If you are generous enough, bigyan mo sila ng a different activity, no? Different activity. A very simple one. Instead of giving them the module, bigyan mo sila ng 2 pieces per siguro na draw like this. Instead na pasulatin mo sila ng essay, ipapadraw mo, ipapapaint mo muna sila. Kasi they will not be interested with a lot of writing. No? Hindi sila yung language smart or word smart. So, titingnan mo yung way of style nila. Until lang makaregain yung interest nila sa pag-aaral. If we really mean naman siya, huwag lang sila i-bombard with a lot of activities. Because you will be frustrated and much more, they will be frustrated with their learning. Hindi sila nagbibigay ng problema sa atin. Actually, sila mismo namomblema sa sarili nila. In that way, i-help muna natin by looking at the psychological aspect of learning. In what way ba sila nagli-learn? Ayaw nila ng puro words. O ipapaint mo sila, ipa-action mo sila, kung ano yung pwede mong ipagawa sa kanila. Yun lang muna. Okay. I guess that would be a very, very simple suggestion sa ngayon. Thank you, Devs.
Thank you very much, Mamel. Thank you very much. We have to stretch our patience. Ma'am Hanilin, that was your session all about stretching all our patience, especially during this time of pandemic. So,
hindi pwedeng generic tayo pag may mga batang gano'n.
Dapat individualized.
Pero mahirap yun, mahirap yun. Mahirap talaga yun para sa mga teachers. And I really commend the teachers and I salute them for doing such thing. No, hindi yung kasi by answering the module, no, pagbalik ng module nila makikita mo na talaga how the kids are performing. Ang parents ba ang nag-answer or ang mga bata? You can see that there are some problems in the way that modules being answered or being accomplished. So makita mo na kung kailangan mo ba mag-a-adjust. Okay? Sige.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I think we don't have, yes.
Kaya ina-emphasize ni Ma'am Hanilin kanina that it takes a lot of professional judgment. No?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So, Ma'am Hanilin, would you like to say something? No more?
I agree with Doc Bell, Ma'am Delves, that it needs a lot of patience and teachers' professional judgment. That's the least that we can be of help and be considerate to our students. And of course, adhere to the different or varied assessment style and strategies.
So thank you very much, Ma'am Hanilin. And so I think we don't have questions anymore. They are reserving their questions for the days. So on behalf of the Regional Training and Management Team, thank you very much, Ma'am Mel and Ma'am Hanilin, And we still with
Devs, thank you also for being a very good facilitator in this training. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mamel. And so with that, we still have our regional director with us. We also would like to thank Alan Farnazo for still being with us during the whole duration of this first session in the morning. So thank you very much, sir. And with that, we would like to thank everybody, our speakers and our participants. And that ends our morning session. Thank you very much for staying with us. And we would like to inform everybody or remind everybody of the breakout session links, which will be given to you by your division chiefs. God bless us all and happy lunch, everyone.
Okay. By the way, we don't have breakout session this time. We will have breakout session tomorrow, and we'll be giving you also your task for the breakout session tomorrow. So little by little lang tayo. More simple and going to complicated one. So see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Welcome to Davao Region Connect, in support of the comprehensive region-led learning continuity plan. I Teach, integrating technology, academic community, and the household, ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Educalidad, this is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across